Well, hey, how is everyone today? So very good to see you. We have a wonderful show for you this evening. We have a special guest joining us, and that will be Silver's on the Scene. It's our second show together. Here he is. Let me let him on up. Welcome, Silvers. Oh, Silvers is here. It's our second time together. Interestingly enough, I went to look at our last live and it had the same thing. It said Buzz and Silvers get talk Sebastian Rogers. And I noticed for today's, I started out Silvers and Buzz talk Sebastian Rogers. So we are on part 2. So welcome in, Silvers on the Scene. Can you hear
Thank
me?
you. Can you hear me? I can hear
Yes.
you.
Can
Can
you
you hear
hear me?
me? I can, yes.
Like we're on the phone talking
I had
over each
my
other.
I had the audio off. I had my mic off or something. I don't know what I'm doing here with the lives. So,
So welcome in.
well,
It's so good to have you back. And I was telling the group, last time I guess I titled it Buzz and Silvers Talk Sebastian Rogers. And I didn't even look at it. And today I looked at the old one, and tonight's was labeled Silvers and Buzz Talk Sebastian Rogers. So do you know, Silvers, that was November 24th. I checked. That was a long time ago.
that is a long time ago.
That is.
Wow,
And today,
really?
yeah. And today we're at 508 days missing.
Yeah, that's I'm glad you said that. That's what I wanted to say to start this off is first of all, that's I can't believe it's been that long. And secondly, we have to start off with how long he's been missing. We're what, 10 days or so away from 17 months.
Yeah.
Say his name, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. That's if there's anything that I can say on this time here on the live is, one thing we can all do is say his name. We can post his flyer. Social media is powerful. Just get it out there and just keep, his awareness alive because 17 months we're getting close to is way too long. And just say his name and keep his awareness alive. Thank you for saying that and how long he's been gone. It's just too long.
Absolutely. And the last thing we have to add is what? Bring him home, right? We are going to
That's
bring
right.
him. Well, I'm going to share a song, you all, that someone wrote for our channel, and I want to play it. I haven't made an intro yet, but it's beautiful, and I like to play. I've been playing it at the beginning. So this is from Whispering Wind. She wrote this for Crime Time Buzz, our community, our channel, and I hope you all enjoy it.
We gather here as a family, searching clues to find the missing kids around this world, searching far and wide, things that make us cry. Sometimes they are found safe, but many don't get out alive. We fight for justice, for the voiceless. We help one another look for evidence, turn it in and hope they listen to the clues we found, even if it is small. These children are blessings and didn't ask for this. But some aren't even given simple things like love, a little hug, or proud of you, just a compliment. Crime Time Buzz is always there looking for answers and help us find you out there. Are you hiding from someone that hurts you, or did they remove you from this earth because they simply didn't care? Just so you know, America cares. We cry. You'll notice that you're missing from a dinner table, a holiday, another birthday come and gone. God is with you, my darling. We're trying to find you, searching every day, just so you can play another day. Don't give up on those who really care. You are precious, beautiful, smart, and kind, and tomorrow we hope to find you. You are precious and beautiful, smart, and kind, and tomorrow we hope to find you.
Thank you for that, Whispering. And I'm going to make an intro. And I want us always to remember why we're here. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, because he's missing. He's not home. He's not in his bed. He's not fishing with dad. he's not playing his switch. And we need to remember, and I know there's a lot that's been going on lately. We got to keep our focus on this young man and bringing him home and saying his name. You there, Silvers?
Yes, I said that was great. That was really good. That was really good.
What I wanted to start by telling everyone is this is our second live that we've done together, but what you have before you is two creators who we don't have the same theory, but yet we learn from each other. We talk, we share, we get along. We talk for a couple hours today. We don't have the same theories, but we can work together and we can learn from each other. And so what you have tonight is two creators working together, learning from each other, and not necessarily 100 aligned on what we believe, but that's okay. Because like any investigation, they got to do a dual investigation, right? Like we've heard, you got to be looking for the rescue and also looking for the recovery, right? And that way you're doing it all. So I just wanted to point out, you got two creators here working together, but we're not necessarily looking at the same things, but we're looking for the same child.
And I think that's great. That's a great way to say that, because that's the other thing I wanted to impart tonight is, a lot of my videos when I'm not out searching, and even when I am searching at times, my goal is to not only keep Sebastian's awareness alive, but to get people thinking. And that's what, we've known that. But today when we spoke, we do have different theories. And, what's great about that is if four different people believe four different things, then each one of those four can investigate their direction, what they think is going on. And as each one comes to a conclusion and eliminates that, then we're down to 3 and 2 and 1, and that's what we discussed today. So it's not we don't know, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
We talk about in my opinion and theories and all that, and we don't know. I state that a lot. It's like, I shouldn't even have to say in my opinion. If I knew it was a fact, then he would be home already. So we just don't know. Where do we go from here?
And there's no shame in being wrong, because we're all looking with good intentions to find Sebastian. And as we check things off, it's great to check things off. That's why they tell you call in those little tips, because it could be that piece. Speaking of which, Silvers, after we talk today, let's not mention number 4 tonight, but I added to it and I have some information I want to share with you later. But, we learn from each other, right? Remember how I said number 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I took it a little bit further, and I have more things I want to go over on that. So we learn from each other, we bounce off of each other, and regardless of what we're looking, we're doing, we have the same intention. And so I welcome you here. And I know you work hard, you drive out to Tennessee and you search for Sebastian. And is there anything you want to share on searching right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's become a challenge. It's you go back to November when I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't know it'd been that long ago, but it gives me an idea of where I am in this. And kind of like I shared with you today, I won't be as long, but I'll just kind of brief it for those that are here, and thank everyone for being here, because it's not about Crime Time Buzz or me, it's about Sebastian. So every time another person comes in, that's fantastic. So thank you for being here. We want to hear what you have to say. For me, when you go back to that November, I probably couldn't have been at a more heightened awareness, and just not to say it's less now. It was just every fiber of me there. Each day, as the brain was just clicking and ticking, and every time I would leave his home, and at the time in November I was in Hendersonville. That's the funny thing, is we've been 2 lives. I've been in a hotel both times. I'm not in Hendersonville
I
now.
know, that's funny.
I'm completely another state, very south, but for the full-time job. But it's funny how that happened. But anyway, I was just on the top there, and I was searching within those few days when I was on the live last. But then the things I found, and people knows from my video, I won't get into all the details, and where I thought I was with all of this, I just really thought and the car guys can tell you, they're probably in here watching, and they can tell you, we just really thought we had something and we were closing in on something. And to come to find out that it wasn't what we thought, it was kind of a pushback. It was so I went through that Christmas and those holidays, feeling a little defeated, if you will, which I very rarely do. Came out, was able to get this new job that I'm in now, which has taken a lot of my time. And it's made me just kind of push back and think, where do I go next? And that's always my thing, is my time is limited, as everyone on here's time is limited. Yours as well, Crime Time Buzz. And where do we go? Where do we spend that time? So um, what I'm trying to do, I've been to Hendersonville this year. I think I've been twice where we're able to search. The last time I searched an area that it was a local, I'm not going to give her name. I've never talked to her about asking her name, but she contacted me. She's been in the town for a very long time, knows a lot of people, but just I had on white shoes. I was dressed not to search, and I jumped in her car, but I did grab my camera. And she took us places, Silvers 2 and I, to where as soon as I got there, I'm like, I got to get out. And 4 hours later, I've searched this place, and there's still, ton of possibility there with where it's located and different things that KP and CP did around this area. But what I give you all that information is, there's a couple of things. It's like, I don't want to be spread in multiple different directions, right? It's like, where do I think the possibility of that he could be, whether he walked out on his own and something happened to him, or in my opinion, he was carried out and placed somewhere. Where is that? Where is that? Where is the best place to search? And that's always my challenge when I leave the city, is on the way back, I'm thinking, what's next? What's next? Because for me, with my limited time, I want to do the most I can for this child. I want to bring him home, as you said, right? Bring him home. And one of the things that we had talked about today, that at least I try to have faith in, and as people know that are watching this, and if you don't know, I'll state it now. I did not have a good experience back in December, not long after our live, with Sumner County Sheriff's Office. I didn't. It was not a good. It's hard to feel as passionate as you do and want to bring this child home as you do, and not feel like they feel the same way. And that's just my feeling, how I was, quote unquote, treated with what I thought I had information and the way to help find Sebastian. And anyway, so
and that was face to face, right? That was your face to face.
Oh, it was face to. It was face to face. Yeah, we're not talking. And and the other thing with face to
connotation misread, it was face to face. You read it.
It was face to face. It was face to face. And luckily, with my skills with dealing with people, my full-time job is in sales, so I deal with people face to face, that I was able to take him, and him is Detective Carter, to a spot to where we could have a conversation versus me getting upset. And but here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought it up, that it was face to face, because once you have a face to face and you spend time with someone, that's how I've built my career. That's how you build relationships and grow business and find the answers. That's how I found out Chris was removed from the crane, at 11 a.m. It was face to face. And so that's why I'm Silver's on the scene. I go to the scene, right? But it was face to face.
And then you give me the buzz, and I spread it.
And I like, and the buzz is great. I'm a yellow jacket at heart, so I love the buzz. And so, yeah. So that was, and so to go back home and to try to follow up with this guy, who I don't think's a bad. I mean, I love everybody. I don't think he's a bad guy. And I don't know what he's going through, but to try to just contact him now through email, right? And it's like pulling teeth, right? I mean, and this is someone who I was face to face with it. I'm not coming out of the thin air and asking things, and still to this day wonder. He asked me if I was searching the night before that I came into the office there, and I was, and it was dark, and I still don't know how he knew that. But anyway,
that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
That in Memphis? Were you searching in Memphis?
No, that was this was no, I was in Hendersonville.
Ah,
So
he knew you had been
yeah,
searching, huh?
yeah.
Or
So
assumed, questioned, huh?
so yeah, so to give you, I guess to where your question was and the lead in catching up to where we are now is, I think I told you this today. If I had my wish, I would be in the house.
Right.
I would want to go in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I want to show us his room. KPCP, show us his room. I want to see what his room looks like now. Is it still his room? I would like to thoroughly look through the house. I mean, we haven't seen the boy leave the house, right? Has
Right.
anybody
There's
seen
no
him?
sign.
If he took the trash out, if he came home, how did he get out of the house?
Right.
And so, like I said, Silver's on the scene. The scene is the home.
Mm-hmm.
And,
It
they took,
hasn't left the home yet.
yeah, they took Seth, away from the home to go look at his home. He wasn't at Seth's home. He was at that house.
Yeah.
So these are things that frustrate me that, you really can't do anything too much about. So then you say, okay, so he was brought out of the home. In my opinion, I think he was, if he came out of the home, then where is he? Right. And so you have Hendersonville, Memphis, Oregon, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and where else? So when you look at all that and you start saying, okay, so what are you going to do? What can I do? And I think the thing I can give to Sebastian the most is to go boots on the ground looking for him, because there's still that chance
Absolutely.
that he's there, that whether he left on his own, whether he was taken somewhere, that he's just, and I'm cautious when I say this, but he's just out there, right? That he's out there and he needs to be, as you mentioned, recovered
Mm-hmm.
so we can, get justice for him.
Right. And absolutely. And that kind of takes us to Seth's live, really. And what you were talking about is did he leave the house? Because Seth had brought that up in his live the other night, and Seth had not gone down that path before. You and I talked about this a little bit. It was a different conversation Seth was having, and he was having it with Sebastian's army, and he addressed CP and KP a little bit, but he addressed the fact that, there's no evidence he left the house. Did he even
That
make it home? And then he said, did you get rid of everything in his room? That's why you didn't want America's Most Wanted there?
I'm glad you brought that up, and this is great. This is why I like being on your live, because you
Well, I like
you
having
keep. Thank you. So yeah, no, that a couple of things with Seth's live. I called it about an hour after it ended, so I didn't catch it live, but I kicked back and I just relaxed and you know was just calm and just wanted to see what he said, and I wasn't sure how it was going to go. That was the best I've ever seen him. That was the best, because if I could ask him a question, is that how he's thought? What he said in that live a couple of nights ago, is that how he's felt the whole time? Because he was saying things that almost like I would be telling him to say, coming on. I mean, he was thinking how I've been thinking. If he saw the video allegedly, right? That, and he can't say it's his son taking the trash out. So, but let's assume it is him, that he did go back to that house. Well, then how did he get out of the house? If he's seen on the camera bringing the trash out, how is he not seen leaving that home? And so when I'm sitting there and I'm just relaxed and I'm listening to Seth, no distractions, focused on the TV, and he says that about, did he leave the home? And I was like, what? He just said that? And then the room, and is his room the same? And they didn't want America's Most Wanted in there. These are all things that, they don't have to tell us, right? I get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why not? That's why I say show his room. Show
Mm-hmm.
me it's a room of a child that you are expecting or hoping will come home, or is it a room that he will never come back home? And
Right.
so just an insight of where they're coming from, right? Because and then again, I mean, and I'm not, I'll state it. Is he in the home? Has he been in the home the entire time? Right. And
Mm-hmm.
when I say this, Silver's too, just so you know, looks at me funny. It's like, what are you talking about? You know, how could he be in the home? They've searched the home and all this. And
Hi,
I goes,
Silvers too, by the way. Hello.
we're in different spots, so I don't know if she's watching. Hopefully
Okay.
she is, but she is. She'll say hi back, but to the TV or whatever. But so but yeah, so
What does she say when you, what does Silvers 2 think when you say, because I invited her tonight, but she likes to leave the panel to Silvers. But what does she think when you say to her, he's still in that house?
she as she does a lot, you know, it's this one thing that keeps our relationship strong. She looks at me like I'm crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you know, that how would that be possible? And if he's unalive, you know, smells and all the different technical things that would go with it. And I'm just like, you know, stranger things have happened, right? I mean, you know, was he, I don't know. There's a lot of different things, but she just thinks no. She thinks the answer is no. But I'm glad you brought it up because we talked about this and it kind of gives, you had said, what does she think as a whole? Um, Not that she would give up. She's not like that, but different from me. I want to keep pushing forward because there's got to be something we can discover, right?
Mm-hmm.
To help us find Sebastian one way or the other, whether he is with us still, and we hope that he is. Both
Mm-hmm.
of us do. Um, but you know, in her mind, she used to always tell me when I was in Memphis, and I told you today I never got any feelings in Memphis as
Right.
far as like I'm near him or whatever. But she would always tell me after every search, he's not here. Hun. She call me hun.
Hmm. You there?
Yeah, I just got I get emotional sometimes when I
Oh, buddy. You want to mute and I'll talk? Are
no,
you
I'm
okay?
I'm good. She would just say, you know, he's not here. He's in his town. And it took me a while. It took me a while to I felt really strongly
Mm-hmm.
that Chris, in my opinion, had brought him to Memphis, you know, and so, but finally, I guess listening to her and was with others. I said, well, then you know, I would say, well, then where is he? What is the deal? She goes, and so where she's at today is, you know, she supports every time I step out there. She supports it. Um, but she also believes that she doesn't believe he's with us, nor do I. As you know, that's the theory. One of the things that I hate. It's hard to say that, but you know, I'm a straightforward person. I do not believe he's with us. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about this more than anything. Um, but she believes that whatever has been done with him, that I will never be able to access that place, you know, without breaking a law. That it's on private property or it's somewhere that, like the home, right? I'm never going to be in that home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where she believes that she still supports me. She's just there with me. We are with Sebastian. We want to find him and get justice for him. She just feels like that he's somewhere that none of us can get to, if that makes sense.
That makes
And
a lot of sense. I mean, remember that one statement that was made, you know, where he is, he's not coming back from. That
right,
was that's that I don't know how to take that.
right, and you know the whole thing that's been probably one of the biggest things from CP is you'll never find him or he'll never be found or all those things. And you know, you got alleged things from another person that had worked with him many years ago, allegedly hearing him say that he could, you know, make someone disappear and no one would ever find them. And, you know, those things can be taken with grains of salt. But here we are, right? And so,
Mhm.
but for me, it's just like, you know, it's kind of one of those things how I operate and how I function, especially with a person's life, as we are here with Sebastian, is, you know, what happens when I say, yeah, you know what, we can't get to him. He's cremated. He's in cement somewhere. He's deep in a pond. He's in the home in a wall. You know, and I just say, you know what, then I'll just resign to the fact I'm never going to do it. And then you know, next week he's found in the woods where I should have been. Right. That's where So that's where my power comes from is I look at Hendersonville, I look at Oregon, I look at the home, I look at, he was given to someone and he's with someone
Mm,
wherever. Those places I can't access. I can't be there. I can't get
right.
into the home. I can't be in Oregon. I can't, you know, go knocking on doors. Do you have Sebastian, right? Who's got him? So, but the one thing I can do is I can put my boots on and I can go logically where I think something may have happened that night and see, is he here? And there's still places, a lot of places
Hmm.
that the searchers didn't check that I haven't checked, and I do have one place in mind. And I don't reveal as much now because with
Yeah,
everything, it
don't,
is just, yeah. I
please.
mean, it's just, I just I go out there, I video so other people can look, and I would love to give the reasons I was at the last place and why I was there. It was really powerful, and that's also a place I think I will go back to at one point in time too. With that place being, I'll give a little hint on that. That place being a place that he could possibly still be alive and around there. You know what I mean? With what's going on in that particular area of the town there. So,
We didn't
but yeah,
discuss
no.
that today. Now you've got me intrigued. And
Well, it's one
that
of those
leads
things.
to,
I
uh-huh.
didn't know anything about it. It was brought to me, and like I said, I met this local, and we had breakfast. Silvers 2 was with us, and we you're a great person. Just, I love meeting people and nice,
Too.
especially when they're nice people. And I don't know much about the car guys. No, I'm joking. They're probably listening. So they're actually great people too. They know they are. But we joke. But yeah, we good time. And then I expected maybe breakfast and what her theories were.
Hmm.
And that's it. And she says, "Hey, if you want to jump in the car, I'll take you somewhere to where I feel strongly about." And like I said, I grabbed the camera just in case. And,
Hmm.
we left that parking lot at the restaurant. We didn't come back for like 6 hours, And so it was just another spot, another place.
Hmm.
Before I go back there, I do have one place of my own just to check and check it off for me. But there's just a lot out there. You
There
go
is.
Oregon distraction, the
Yeah, the
child T or the someone taking him distraction, or all these other things, and it could be
Mhm.
as simple as he could be a mile from his house. So
Right. And I know, we talked a lot about, well, and that's how I am too. It's like, well, I don't have anything else to research. I'll hit this dead end. And then suddenly I'll be like, wait a minute. Of course, there's other things to research because he's not home yet. You just got to figure out where, right? And start checking things off. I've already looked here, I've looked there. And I'm not lucky enough to be on the boots on the ground, but it's, researching, I'm doing the same thing. It's like, okay, no, that's been turned in, that's been checked, now where do we go, right?
yeah, and that's what it. I see somebody, Teresa here, and I'm trying to look at the
And
comments too,
we can
and
go to the chat in a second. Well, I'll make
and I
sure we get
just
that going.
she's right. It takes a village. She's right, and that's the part
Mhm.
about everyone doing their part. So you know it that's something I try to say to in videos is I go back to this. The one thing, home, Hendersonville, Oregon, just start with those three, right? So
Mhm.
anyone listening here, anyone that, I mean, I don't know how you access that home, right? I don't know how you convince law enforcement to go take another look to,
I wish you were up
look,
for an Airbnb. I'd go rent it out.
right, exactly, right.
Come
Check,
on, Silvers 1 and 2.
right. And so, and then you have Oregon, which I know the witness, and she's been
Uh-huh.
searching, and if she's listening, thank you so much for doing that. And
Yeah,
that's
and
that,
we just kept her down today just because she felt like people been, around. So we kept her for her safety down a little bit. So
sure,
that's just for her safety. I wanted the
sure.
group to know
You,
why. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, no, no. Oh, absolutely, sure. And you got to play it safe. And so the point being, as Teresa had mentioned there, everybody can do the part of sharing the flyer, say his name, keep the awareness out, and that's doesn't take a lot
A
of real
prayer, a
effort.
thought,
Just
a vibe,
just
whatever it is you can do.
take a few minutes and do it right. And so, but if you find yourself, what I'm saying is and I say it in my searches, because If anybody needs to walk, it's me. Just go out and walk. If you just, for the citizens, the residents of Hendersonville, if you know, if you need to go walk, go walk somewhere around his high school. Go walk somewhere around his neighborhood. Go walk, somewhere around Drake's Creek. Just you never know what you're going to find, right? And so it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to find Sebastian, but you may find something that just, why is this here? Where is that? And it's, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if everybody could just do something, right? If you find yourself somewhere where you can do something, do it, whatever that something is, because each little thing, if you just do a drive by and go, why is this particular vehicle parked in this particular driveway, and how does it relate to Sebastian? I'll never forget, somebody had contacted me. I don't know if they're in here. I don't know who they are. I may have at one time, but they were driving through a neighborhood. I don't know if you ever heard this. They were driving through a neighborhood in Hendersonville, very affluent, I guess, larger homes than his neighborhood. And there was a kid on a bicycle, or they were in the drive. They were doing something. The kid was doing something, and they were almost positive it was Sebastian. And so this will prove my point too, of everybody doing their part. And so I get this email, and the first thing I think, what's the first thing you're going to think? Did you ask him? I mean, it's a kid in the driveway. Did you say, "Hey, is your name?"
Call 911.
Call 911. But they were asking me to go to the neighborhood. Well, I'm 270 miles away. And so, at first I'm thinking, okay, so I just replied and said, "Hey, this is amazing. Can you go back? You live in the town. Just, can you go back?
Mhm.
Can you just go knock on the door and find?" I mean, so they did. And that's why they
Oh,
went back.
wow.
They went back.
Amazing.
The kid was out again. They stopped. They asked him. They talked to him. It was not Sebastian. And it was, boom, check mark, done, right?
Mhm.
So, but just imagine had they gone back and it was him, and he was just, a few miles in his hometown, at this home, for whatever the reasons, right? So, that's the point. It's
I
like,
heard something like that too. I heard someone thought they may have seen him just standing in a front yard.
yes. So
Yeah.
it's so
Mhm.
to give my, and I mentioned some, I think,
Hidden
on
in
the
plain sight, right,
hidden
Silvers?
in plain sight. That's exactly right. And I have approached at least a half a dozen, from Knoxville, Atlanta, Nashville, his hometown, anywhere in between. Um, Teenage boys that have the build, have the look, and it's different each time. I'll get close enough to where I realize immediately it's not them. Sometimes they'll turn, I'll be right at them, and I won't have to say anything. They'll just smile or look, and I'll notice it's not him by the way he looks. Some I can tell from across the room, but that's just, we were sitting in a Cracker Barrel. I can't even remember what city. And Silvers too says, "Look at that boy. What do you think?" And I go, "Yeah, it's very similar, but I can tell from here it's not him." And that's just how we're constantly aware, right? And
Mhm.
so what I'm saying to everybody is, no one wants stranger danger and somebody running up and a stranger approaching them. But this is a missing child. If you see something, like you just said, just pick up your phone and call 911, or get close enough. The first time this ever happened, I'll tell the full first time this ever happened to me, is I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and this is probably May or so of last year. So he hasn't been gone that long, not long like he has now.
Mhm.
And I'm at a customer of mine, and I'm taking out my samples that are old, because I have samples that I put in stores. I'm taking them out, and there's a mini golf next to my customer, and here's a lady with 3 kids playing mini golf, and this one boy fit the description, height, look. And I'm standing there, and I'm almost like, you got to stop looking, they're going to see you. And so I tell myself it's not him. So I go back in my store, I finish up with my customer, and I go to leave, and it's eating me on the inside. I'm like,
Mhm.
what if it's him? Nashville, Hendersonville is only a couple of 100 miles away. What if
Uh,
it's him? What if they're on their way over to? And so I pulled into the mini golf. I walked up, pretending like I was getting information. Then I saw him over at the snack place, and I started to walk all the way up to him. I probably got 10 feet from him when he turned and looked at me, and I could tell it wasn't him. But here's the point of my story. This was before the North Carolina sighting, right?
Right.
And when that North Carolina sighting happened, I turned to Silvers too, and I go, I'm at peace. And she goes, what do you mean? I go, had I not looked at that boy in Knoxville, looking at what I'm seeing now, that this kid looks like Sebastian in North Carolina, that's the path. That's how you go from Hendersonville through Knoxville over to North Carolina. So I would have
Oh,
been thinking, what if that's him? What if that was him that day? And I could have ended this long ago. So, you just have to approach. You have to just, find that courage at that moment. That's what we all can do. Right. And, and
and I know people are afraid that, well, what if, I take a picture of him and the people who are with him think he signaled me and they beat him or whatever. I've heard that from many people. And I know it's
I,
scary. They're
I
afraid
think
of him and
I've
hurt.
tried to, and I agree with that. And I've tried to come up, and I'll give it here my best way of approaching. If you really believe, if I've never, believed it was him, right? So I've never got to that point. But you always think, what if you are convinced it's him? What's the next move, right? And for me, it's simple. You back away, you call 911. You tell them where you are, that you believe you are looking at the missing child, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. You fully believe, you feel confident that it's him, right? Okay.
Mhm.
And then you watch and you wait. If that police officer cannot get there before they go to leave, you follow them and get their tag. Just get their license plate. And that's all you have to do. Because when that officer arrives, you can then share that license plate with them and say, hey, you missed them by a minute, by two. Hopefully they arrive in time, and you go, there it is. And if you're wrong, you're wrong.
Right.
But at
And there's
least you
no shame
tried.
in being wrong.
There's no shame. There's a lot of shame in, you find out that 2 days later or the next day that
It
they
was the
found
child.
him. They found him unalive in this a mile from where you saw him. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, definitely. And I know it's scary, but it's the way I think of it is, if he's with someone who has taken his life for 17 months away and he's with them and they're moving him, a phone call or them thinking you're making a phone call, I don't think is going to make his day much worse, I would hope. You know what I mean? Because they're
yeah,
going to get to him with that phone call. That's kind of how I want to try and look at it. That 911 call, although they may see you doing it, someone's going to get to him then.
let's
If
see.
that makes
Yeah,
sense. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But I know a lot of people. Now, someone just said here, Ann Reynolds, you said, I thought I saw Sebastian Rogers at Walmart here in Franklin, North Carolina today. Did you report it, my dear? Did you
That's
get a picture? Did you,
right.
what happened? Let us know, because I'm not anywhere near Franklin, but I would be happy to report it, but I would need details. But the best thing you all can do is, like I've been telling you, and Silver's just said, call 911.
You'll get everybody get a kick out of this, and there'll be a little history on Silvers you may not have known. But there was a time when I was, and I tell it to give the story so you know where I'm getting my. So there was a time when I lived in the Hollywood area, Los Angeles. I love movies and being around the actors and stuff. And there was a time where I hobbied in the paparazzi, right? To where you see a celebrity and you pull a video camera out and say, hey, Brad Pitt, how are you feeling today? And see if he will talk to you.
You. Uh-huh.
And so what's interesting about that, and the reason I bring it up is this: if you're in a public place like Anne was, and she thinks she may have seen him, and we're talking about the 911 and stuff, right?
Right.
So take a Walmart, for example. Typical Walmarts have two entrances, right? So if you don't want to be seen calling 911, or you just, like you said, take a picture if you can, but you can walk outside, call 911. No one's seeing you do it. No one's hearing you make this phone call, and just stand outside waiting for those people to exit. You see what I'm saying? Because they have to come out of the store. And if they don't come out of the store, then when the police officer arrives, you can say they're still in the store, right? Or you can stand there with the police officer and catch them as they exit, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you would do with a celebrity if they went into a store. You know, you would wait on them to come out of the store, and as long as they hadn't come out, they're still in the store. And then when they did, you would approach them and, you know, ask them a question or so. So the point is, there's many ways to do it because we don't want anyone hurt. That's it's the opposite of what we're doing here, right?
Right.
The reason I told you today, is the reason I got involved with Sebastian's case. It's really simple. I don't like to see injustice done to anyone, whether you're 1 year old or you're 100 years old or anywhere in between. Okay. And anytime I can step in and right or wrong or help someone, that's what we all should be doing, right? I mean, we all should be doing that. And I just was compelled to do what I can. I say to Silvers too, you know, we go there for work. We're in that town. And I remember we were in Memphis one time. We weren't in Memphis, but we were about 25 miles from Memphis. And we were going to leave that day. And I said, why don't we just go by that campground? And we had some things going on. We had to get back home to Atlanta. And that's, you know, almost 400 miles. It's further than Hendersonville is. And so we left. And I remember on the way back going, the next time we will. And so that's what happened. And that's kind of how it got started, June of last year. And so, but, you know, there's movies out there. There's one in particular, I can't think of the name of it now, but someone asked the lady, why are you helping this family? She says, because I can. And yeah, so here it is. All Walmarts have cameras going, and cops can go in and go back to them. So Kelly, you're exactly right. And the experience on that, because I did this with Cleveland, Tennessee Walmart. I thought they would let me, right, Silver's on the scene, just look at the footage with them.
That's right, because you are Silvers. Come on.
And so it was interesting when I said I'm looking for a missing child. They acted much quicker, but I was never going to be able to look at that footage. And that was, but they will. You file a report. The police will come in, and they have so many cameras, probably the best security in the retail business, at least. And so that one nothing ever came out of that one that I'm aware of. So I was hopeful, but
and Stephen appreciated that a lot. Stephen's a part of our community.
Okay. Yeah,
really appreciated that you followed up on that for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's one of those things to where, once again, it kind of circles around. I try to be very consistent in what I'm saying here is, you know, he told me this is in Cleveland. So there's 2 Walmarts.
Can I pause you for 1 second, Silvers?
Sure.
I just want to tell the chat something. Chat,
Sure.
we are going to get to your questions at the end. I promise you. I'm just going to go right through them. Okay. I'm sorry, Silvers. They have good questions, and I didn't want them to think we weren't going to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we want to do that. But yeah, he just, you know, and so I was a little bit, you know, skeptical of it. So I was trying to ask him questions through email to see where, and, you know, I'd say, hey, there's two Walmarts in Cleveland, Tennessee. Which one? He came back with one. And anyway, and it just so happened I'm talking to him on a weekend when I'm headed to go to Tennessee that week for work. And so we went there, and I talked to the police officer, who was very nice, over the phone, and that set up that. And then, you know, he took it from there, and then he never called me back, but I did have to call him several weeks later. And he just said they looked at the time and the day Stephen was saying there was nothing there. And then they were going to look at other days. Maybe that he was confused on his days, but, you know, how can you not follow up with it? That's my point about going out and walking. You find yourself in Hendersonville, you're there for work, or you live there, and you just, let me go walk. Well, I was coming through Cleveland, Tennessee. I could have not drive past that exit and know that's that Walmart Stephen may have seen him at. So we got off the exit, and we didn't lose anything, but we spent a couple hours trying to find Sebastian, right? And so, and that sparked a lot of people looking into thinking about homes or whatever, where he could have been. Was he with a group or whatever? And so once again, we have to take every, as you said, tip or avenue. And if you wake up tomorrow and someone's talking about Sebastian in this Franklin, North Carolina, then if you live in Franklin, North Carolina, your ears should perk up, your eyes should perk up. Did
Yeah,
she see Sebastian?
yeah.
Yeah, so start, looking more, or maybe posting out some flyers there. But it's the craziest thing, because there was a lady missing, a young 12-year-old in Gainesville, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I live about 60 miles from Gainesville. I have customers there, and I've been looking for Sebastian, and I see her on the news that she's missing. So the next time I go to that customer, I took a time to go around her neighborhood. She got pulled right from her driveway, middle of the day. I'm looking at all these, abandoned houses around, and a little junkyard, if you will, a bunch of cars, and I'm trying to. So long and short of it, I kept posting her name out there, in case somebody would see her. You may be standing beside her in a convenience store and not know she's missing. The story ended up she was gone for 50 days, and she was in Ohio, 600 miles away from her home. And what happened was, she was on Facebook Messenger speaking. She's 12. He was like 30 something. And he drove down in one day from Ohio, picked her up in her driveway, and drove back to Ohio, and had her for 50 days. And she's so lucky, and so is her family, he didn't do something, and unalive her. But
remember this case.
Yeah, gosh, I wish I could think of her name. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But she, yeah. And so it was just, she was upset at her dad, and she found an adult who should have, told her dad. But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just how quickly it can happen. And so, but the point of that being is, she ended up contacting dad, telling her she wasn't coming home, and that's how they found her.
Oh,
But
I do remember that. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And so, but the thing is by spreading her awareness and her face out there, someone in Ohio could have been standing beside her in a Walmart and not know it's her, because, you're not aware of it. I mean,
Right.
I'm
so
in
many people who don't know about Sebastian still.
No, I'm in Memphis. I'm in it's Horn Lake, Mississippi, where Chris is,
We all
where
know
he
that
stayed a
place
lot.
now.
Right? Yeah. And I'm across the street
I
from
feel
where
like I grew up there.
Yeah, exactly. And so, if for those who don't know, the cops were called on us because we were at an abandoned home. And so when they arrived, we started telling them what we were doing there. They called the homeowner. He was okay with us being there. They checked our IDs, all that good stuff. And so, but the remarkable part was they had no clue Sebastian was missing. This would have been, I don't know, August or so of last year. So he's missing 6 months or so, and they had no clue. And yet across the street was where his stepdad was residing, where at one time his mom was there too for several weeks. I mean,
yeah, I mean, okay, but Silvers, that has to take us back to canvassing, right? In my opinion, because in the beginning, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, buddy.
No, go ahead. No.
In the beginning, when they allowed him that next day to head up to, and for those of you new to the case, I'm talking about the stepfather, to head up to get his RV, someone should have been with him.
Yeah.
Right. But at the very least, they should have been canvassing that whole area for anything they could have known, seen, especially when his sister put in there, he could have crawled in a car and fell asleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't mean it. I just feel like that should have been canvassed, right? People should have known right around there.
Well, I'm going to say something that I guess kind of along the lines of what Seth was saying on Sunday, which I was proud to hear him say it. I just, I don't need a pat on the back. I don't need any thank you. I'm doing what I feel is the right thing to do. This boy needs to be found. Mm-hmm. He needs to be brought home. I've joked about knocking on their door and asking them to help me. I've seen her just by accident going around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
and that was my chance to say, hey, you want to help me search for your son today? I just, you and I mentioned this today, and I'm just I'll say it here is,
Mm.
if these two, in
I'm
my
bracing
opinion,
myself.
in my opinion, if these two, Chris Proudfoot, Katie Proudfoot, if these two have zero to do with Sebastian's disappearance, that's
Mhm.
what I hope. I mean, he's gone, so I mean, somebody did something. I would feel much better if it was a stranger versus the parents.
That's what we talked about. It would be in our greatest interest to hear no one he loved was responsible.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. No one he loved. That's a great way to put it. If they had zero to do, then I'm going to be more shocked about what is going on in their heads, in my opinion. Because if they had nothing to do with this, why are they not screaming from the rooftop? Why are they not welcoming help? Why are they not doing anything to find their son? That's number one. And if they had something to do with it, then it makes more sense why they're acting that way they're acting, right? You can only
Right. The games aren't
say,
funny when it's a kid's life. If you're playing a game and trying to be cool and funny in the center of attention, and I'm not accusing, I'm just saying it's not funny when there's a child's life and you're
no.
distracting from the people we should be looking at, which I'm not sure. In my opinion, that's not what's happening. I think, I agree with Seth, but go on. I just feel like I meant to tell you something, Silvers, today when we were talking, and we were talking about this very subject about the concern we both said we'd be concerned for mental health if there was nothing involved and it was all these games. Like, did you hear the PI audio? Where there was ballparking this and ballparking that and all of that stuff?
No.
Okay, well, I'll remind me to tell you about that as soon as I finish this. But what really upset me, and I blew it up on my channel on a live, is I saw a Facebook post from Chris Proud CP that had a beautiful meal post. He posted a beautiful meal, and he said, "Eat your hearts out, because we are." Silvers, I went through the roof. Because that's just antagonizing and poking.
Yeah.
And who do you think he's poking? Seth.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for that. And that's why we were, I meant to tell you that we got off on the mental health thing, and I forgot to tell you that piece, and then, it's just so upsetting, right?
Well, we and everybody understands where I'm coming from. We can only, you meet a person, they present themselves. You watch a person on an interview, they present themselves. We all have a right to our opinion and what we think about what they say and what they do. But these two are just not showing any concern for him being missing, right? They're not, I mean,
That's right. Let me ask you my question.
Yes.
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. So we're going through these things, which we're not talking about tonight. We're just saying, with everything that's been going on, let's just put it that way. And why do you think that I, as a mother, would be screaming at the top of my lungs, "Don't you dare unalive my child. I will give you anything. I will give you everything. I don't care who. Will put you in witness protection. We'll do whatever." But we haven't heard anything. Why do you think that is? And now I do want you guys to remember, Silvers and I have very different theories, okay? So what Silvers says doesn't mean I agree, but I want him to share it with you, okay? And it's not that I don't agree because I don't respect him. It's just I'm the emotional one, okay? We learned this today. I'm the English teacher, the emotions. He's the math, the logic. So I'm running around, and I'm looking through, everything I can look through, and he's looking through the numbers, okay?
And that's why I like the buzz, by the way. I graduated from Georgia Tech, and they're the Yellow Jackets. So I've been buzzing my whole life. So great question. And here's the thing, I did study some, if Silvers 2 is listening to this, she's going to laugh because I joke with her all the time. I did study psychology while I was at Tech as well. Here's the thing. Human behavior has been my whole career, right? And so I love the study of it. What makes us tick? What makes us do what we do? We can't fool the subconscious that much. We can't. You have to really practice at it. We know what's going on. We know what's in our head, and no one else can see it. So it's in our words, it's in our actions, in our mannerisms of how we do it. And that subconscious, it takes over at times. And so to answer your question, if there is threat that if we don't get whatever we need and we're going to unalive your son.
We're in
And
possession of him. We have the
here he
control
is. We got him and we're about to, get to us and we're going to do it. And you don't react because you're laughing knowing you can't have my son, in my opinion, Silvers, because he is not alive anymore.
And in my opinion, Buzz, you can't have my son because I know where he is, regardless of what that means. But I have a bit of a different theory, but we both know the connotation behind it, right? In our opinion.
He's not available for you to have him.
Right.
So stop with your nonsense. So I'm not going to react.
I know that's not him.
Right.
How come we have never heard once, does he have moles on his neck? Look at the moles on his neck on the picture, everyone.
Yeah.
That came out, that was released by the mom on the year anniversary in a written article. Okay, how many times in sightings, why did we never hear, does he have the moles on the front of his neck?
And something we had talked about too is, once again, that quick reaction. When you ask somebody a question and you're wanting that quick answer. When the North Carolina sighting was, I really thought that was him. That photo looked to me head to toe. I see somebody like that in a public place, I'm on them quick because he had everything, in my opinion, as much as I know about Sebastian. And so the three get asked, and the three are his biological dad, his biological mom, and his stepdad. And the answers were, yes, it could be my son, but the dad, and he jumps in the car and heads to North Carolina. The mom is nonchalant. It could be. It's similar. The stepdad is immediately.
We're waiting for law enforcement to let us. We're here waiting for law enforcement to let us know.
Yeah, could be, could not be. And then the stepdad is no, that's not him. Which a few days later came back and said, well, maybe it could be him. So what am I stating in that? And I'll just stay as straight as I can. She's smarter than him. Okay. In my opinion, KP is not just smarter, much smarter than him. Okay. And she had the thought process of, I'm not gonna let my subconscious rule. I'm going to pretend like it could be him. Okay. Give a little nonchalant. Yeah, it does look like him. Whereas the other person, and I'll keep some of my descriptive comments to myself on this, he just, it can't be him. I'm just going to say no, because as you said, Buzz believes he knows where he's at. I believe he knows where he's at, one being alive and one being unalive. And so it can't be. And then you have to think about it. And she probably said to him a few days later, in my opinion, what are you doing? You got to give an opinion. You got to give a thought process or a perception that he's out there somewhere versus saying, no, it's not him.
Absolutely. So, and you know what else I think? I think that he doesn't have, this is alleged in my opinion. He doesn't have the intelligence of self-control. He doesn't have the ability to self-control. And so the egotistic part comes out, which makes him want to sound like he knows everything. And doing that gives away the nuggets because he can't shut up. And she's smart enough to be able to not be on those panels, to not be screaming, eat a baby, DICK on a panel. If you think about that, think about the connotation right there.
Yeah, no. And here's the
those
thing.
Things are just shocking.
And we talked about this a little bit today, and one thing doesn't mean the other. Let me state that. I don't want to get anybody confused. It doesn't, just because one thing happens and it's similar in something else doesn't mean it happens. But the real quick on the Idaho 4 sad murders, and we know now he's pled guilty that he
Mm,
did this, and we don't have 100% confirmation, but it appears as though this guy who committed these murders was also online involving himself in this case, asking questions and doing things, which is a standard behavior of people who are involved in crimes to get involved in them the best they can.
yes.
And everybody said this before, it's nothing really new, but hey, Chris, we don't need you. Why are you doing? What are you involving yourself for? Right? I mean, why get on these channels? Why do this? Go look for your stepson, right? Go do something
He has to
productive.
be the center no matter what is going on. And he, in that narrative with the PI, like he was shaming KP for like, she wanted to explain something properly. And he's like, you don't think I explained it? I'm paraphrasing. You don't think I explained it? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And then she talks and he goes, see what I effing said, right? And it's just that belittling, but she has that. She's not the one blabbing. She does very few interviews because none of them align, but in my opinion, but he can't control it.
Yeah.
And that's where we get the statements like, where I'm sorry, not that one. When I had one that I can't say, I'm sorry, y'all. He makes those statements that are just so baffling. Like before it was, we're not going to find him, right? And what if this goes south? What if he's deceased? Those kind of things.
Oh yeah, that first day, right?
Late, I've heard he's saying, well, what are you all going to do when he comes walking in the door after he turns 18?
Yeah.
And there's just those pieces. And like Seth said, what did you mean when you said Seth? We'll go back to Seth's live. He was talking about, he was talking to CP and he said, CP, I feel like you did something to my son. And he said, what did you mean when you said something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, oh, if I had known that, something, they were on a panel and he said, well, if I would have known that. And he said, what would you mean by that?
Yeah.
And he said, I feel like what my, happened to my kid. And the Silvers, I forgot to share this with you. And I know you'll have a statement about this because this is profound statement that Seth made. He said, and you, Katie, I don't even know, what your ability will be to be around children. First of all, you became the mother you had.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I tell you, you jar my memory on something that he
yeah.
said. First of all, if he's hearing this or anyone can talk, I want to tell him I think that was a great. It was
Fabulous statement.
It was fabulous. The whole thing was just him just sitting there being calm.
Yep.
Making.
And when he said, "You're not the person I married, and you're not the person I divorced."
So
wow.
No, it was great. I mean, to say
about that, because I know you took that a certain way too. Everyone did. It was very profound and deep.
And they're two different people. The person you married isn't the person you divorced because you wouldn't be divorcing them, right? So you're looking at, not putting words in his mouth, but I married a loving, kind woman. I divorced, maybe not that, right? Because it wasn't in line with me anymore. But to say you're not even that was,
you're not even that which I divorced. Think about that.
No, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And and so
wow, that was a statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
He
And
did a fabulous job, but the pain hurt me that I saw in his eyes and I heard in his voice. It hurt me.
And I would say to anyone listening, it did. That's the thing
I can't.
That's what you see should be happening for a biological parent.
Everyone,
I'm not giving
psychopathy comes in that he talks about, because that there's no remorse, there's no empathy, regardless of where you stand, you're still empathetic. Your child's missing. right?
Yes. And here's the
there
thing,
is that.
from all I know of the other side, the stepdad, he's never liked him, in my opinion, right? He's
Mhm.
it's a tough. I've never had a legal step child. I've dated women who's had teenagers, and so I have a little experience there. But as far as I've never been married and to be my stepchild, I've had family members who have, and especially when you have your own child, it can be difficult. But here, going back to the guys I've spoken to that work with him, is there's guys that work with never knew that Katie nor Sebastian existed. They knew of the daughter, I won't say her name. They knew of her, but they didn't know
Mhm.
that he had this other life, right? And so the point I'm trying to get to is
That's scary.
I don't expect him to be like Seth. He was a stepdad, and I don't think he cared for him anyway, in my opinion. So I can see him having the code side, but it should not
Not
be
to be
coming from the
talking
mother.
about him, you mean? Not to be bragging on him, talking
Yeah,
about him, sharing
yeah,
about him, period. Because
right.
it's a part he wasn't
It's
present in
what
his life.
watch the was it
Yeah.
Deception Detective. He will
Yeah.
state that anytime Chris comes on anything, he's never asking, he's never saying his name.
Right.
He's never talking about how many days he's gone. He
Mhm.
doesn't start his coming on like we just did, where we say, hey, he's been gone 508 days. We're 10 days or so away from 17 months. It's way too long. Say his name. His full name is Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. He's 16 years old. He went missing when he was 15. He wears glasses. He's 5'5". None of this stuff, right? He
Right.
just wants to
No,
talk about himself.
himself. Little man syndrome is what I've been telling my community it is.
You hit
I
so
just
so
think
so
he's so
people.
small and he was bullied as a kid and mommy makes him feel big in Hendersonville. This is all my opinion.
No,
Mommy
you're
makes him feel big in Hendersonville. So he's got his, now he's back in there. He's got his pants pulled up and his shoulders back, but it's little man syndrome. Because guess what? He can do it to Sebastian. He can smack Nina's kids allegedly, like she said, in the mouth, and her braces hit the lips and bleed. He can, scare the neighbor Bobby and say, "You don't know who my mom is," all of this stuff. But what would he do if a man stood in front of him?
well. It's funny that you bring this up because and he wouldn't mind if I said his name. I'm not going to, but there's two people when you talk about his work. In my experience, there was on the scene getting out there, just and I never planned on these. The one I'm about to mention contacted me, but I was led to another one who I worked with him there on the job site and knows about being removed and all that reporting I did. But as far as the second guy, still has friends that worked with him when Sebastian went missing, but he hasn't himself worked with him for several years. But he's the one who I just said we didn't know Sebastian existed. We didn't know Katie existed, right? He led a life. This is all alleged from his. He led a life of a single guy. We didn't know any of that existed. But then this conversation started when I spoke to him the first time, is he said exactly almost word for word what you just said. It's little man syndrome. Okay. It's somebody who thinks they're bigger than they are. And he's witnessed him allegedly he's witnessed him in fights. Okay. He's
Oh,
witnessed him.
really?
Oh yeah. This guy wants, at one time, he may not, now if he's listening or here, maybe, but he's wanted to come on. The second time I spoke to him, he said, listen, bring me on a live. And I've never done a live. These are my only live, but bring me on a live. I'll be
I'm
more than
so
happy
honored.
he says, I'll be more than happy to tell everything I know. And I want him to get upset at me because I
Then
wouldn't
we
mind
learn.
having a go at him. Right.
Right.
But he echoed. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is
Well, let's bring him on, Silvers. If you want to bring him on here, we'll bring him on here.
we might have to, because the
Yeah,
guy's
let me
great.
know. I'll host him.
The guy's
The only
great.
reason I don't have Oregon up here tonight is I just don't want her bothered,
I got you. Yeah, he's great. And he just, but what I thought was weird was, and Silvers too was with me when I spoke to him. And when I spoke to Bo, she wasn't the first one because she was in the car, but here's two guys that within I guess a 10-day period, 2-week period, I speak to these two guys who both have worked with him, one currently, and their perception of a guy. You walk up to him and say, "Do you know this guy? Here's his name." And it's the first words out of their mouth. Can't trust him.
Ugh.
SOB,
Mhm.
little man syndrome, all these, I mean, just one thing after the next, and then before you can say anything, before I can say anything, you're probably talking to me because of the stepson's missing, right? I go, yeah, Sebastian Rogers. He goes, yeah, I think he had something to do with it.
Oh my gosh.
And so these are like quick things. And I go, and one even said, it was the one that worked with him currently when Sebastian went missing, said to me, he says, what did he say? How did he say? He goes, he goes, Michael, because that's my real Michael, everything you're seeing when he's on these interviews and he's out there on YouTube, it's not an act. That's excuse my language, that's the a-hole. That's him. He's being himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I go,
Yeah.
you got to be kidding me. He goes, no, I'm, and he went on to give me, because I spoke to him twice too. He actually called me after I posted my video about everything. He was happy that I didn't say his name, because this particular guy had gotten caught in a messenger to where he had said his name and what had happened that day, and they posted it. And so, you don't want to get in trouble at work. He could care less about really CP. You just don't want to get in trouble at work.
Right.
But he called me after I'd done my video, and he was just to thank me that I said, I told you I wouldn't. If you tell me that, the other guys told me to say his name, and I won't say it now. I mean, just I don't feel comfortable until we're 100% sure you want your name out there. So, but yeah, it's just that. And so then as I told you today, and it's something that is relevant to here too, and how I feel the way I feel. The first time I've always felt Sebastian's not with us anymore. Where this is going. Okay.
We've always, and it's interesting because we have such great respect for each other, and we see it differently. And that's how it should be, because you know what? How much did we learn from each other today as to what we're looking into now?
That's exactly right. And that's why, one goes in one direction, one goes the other, and we meet, right? And
Right.
There's nothing more I would love to be up to my knees in Drake's Creek water and get a call that says, "Hey, we found him. He's alive." I would just overdone with joy, right? That's what we want.
How about the time you were looking at something inside the neighborhood, and I was looking at that same something inside the neighborhood, but a different part of that same something? You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Right. The neighbors.
Yes.
I'll just say that. And that was like, I think we both just kind of surprised each other.
Yeah.
But we shared it and we were talking about it, right?
Right.
And it was like, whoa, because you came to me to see if I could get some info. And I was like, this is what I'm looking at. And we were just both like floored that we were both looking in that same area.
Yeah.
And now it's a common area, we don't have to be so cryptic. We're talking about the neighbor behind the Proudfoots. Okay.
Right.
The household.
And so, yeah. And, but yeah, no, so it's, everyone just can do what you can do if you find yourself in a situation and you have time. That's just, and that's where it comes from me. It's like, it's, as I said today, there's been weekends I could have been spending with my grandkids. Right. I have two beautiful grandkids, 5 and 2, and they're getting older every day. And I could have been spending time with them, our daughter, our grandkids, our daughter, our son-in-law, but we chose, to find Sebastian because we can help. If you're capable and able and can do it, why not do it? And so that's where we've been, and we'll continue to do that. It may not be as often, but due to limited time, but it will. And so thank you for the people who send out there's pictures I still get, emails where you could be. And it's not that I say no to them and I just blow them off. It's more about how can I focus, the times I've searched with people, not to say any names, just different people that they've wanted to go here and I've wanted to go here. I have to clear what I feel first, right? Because it's
Mhm.
like if I'm in another area, although it's a great lead or it may be something possible, if I've got this in the back of my head, I have to clear. And if you can ask the car guys, they know I'm strong about this. I have to clear this area, right? Because in my mind, something could have happened here. There could be a piece of
Mhm.
evidence somewhere. And so this has to be, and then once that's done, I'm open, right? I'm open to go wherever. And there's been times I've just dropped my logic and go, somebody tell me where to go and I'll go because maybe I'm missing a lot, right? But
Mhm.
that's all I'm doing. I'm just getting out there and I'm just keeping my eyes open and hoping that we can find something, um, whether it's him fully or whether it's a piece of something
La, la, la,
that
la.
connects to him. You know
Sorry,
what I'm saying?
Seth. We love you. That's hard for
So
Seth to hear.
yeah, no, I know it's
It's a
tough
tough
and
one.
it's a tough one. But I won't, as I stated, I always want to state behind it that you know this is just where I'm coming from what I've looked into. And I want nothing more than to be wrong. I told you today that it would give me the most joy in the world to be wherever I am and look across the room and there he is,
Mhm.
and get the cops there, the law enforcement there, the police officers, every how you say it, get them there and say, there he is, he's found. I've never had a dream through I've tried to dream about him. I've tried to tap into my subconscious to give me some answers or
Mhm.
lead me somewhere, and I'll, as I drift off, I'll, especially when I'm in his town,
Mhm.
just with what you went through today and what you were looking and where you were, can something come to you through sleep? And there's never been anything but once, and all this time there's only been once, and I found him in that one. I came across him. He was healthy, he was alive. And I don't know if that's a premonition. It's been several months ago, but I wish for that every time I go out. You know what I mean? And so,
Absolutely.
I was probably no more excited for a search than when I did the one in Memphis, where someone had led me there thinking that he was alive. Living there, on his own, just trying to survive. I was nervous. I was I was on edge, but that was my first time to really, and with what I believe, looking for him alive.
Is that
And
when you were looking in Memphis and you looked in that, like, tunnel? You went and got a different light and all that?
I tell you, yeah, that
Some
was
Whereas I've
it.
told you this before. My heart was beating so fast when you were calling his name in that tunnel. I I
Well,
I I commend you. I
well,
did that with
something.
Mr.
Well,
Vaughn. I
thank you.
went to a
Thank
tarp.
you for that.
Ooh.
I tell you something I've never really told many people. This is kind of a behind the scenes, if you will, with what
Mhm.
happened.
Oh,
So I
sorry. Did I say something I
no, no,
shouldn't have?
no, no, you didn't do
Oh,
anything. No, so I get there and I don't have the proper light in, so I can't really see in there. And the goal is that when you look through those pipes, wherever they are, they're all over, right, drainage pipes, whatever they call them. You can see to the other side, and that's how you clear through. Well, there's nothing in here, right? And I've always had this thought way back when I first started that maybe he crawled into one of these to protect himself. And so, and so, so I go up to this place and I don't have the proper light. And I go, okay, I'm gonna have to go get a light. Well, while I'm there, there's an RV shop that sits right behind the RV park, right? They sell RVs. So the guy's out there washing the RVs, and I say, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And I ask him about Sebastian. And I show him the flyer. Boom, he was the first person in all this. He knew about it. He knew about the boy. He'd seen it on the news. And I said, so here's my question. Where does this pipe go? You're standing on it. Does it come out the other end? He goes, I don't know. Let me look for you. So he takes the flyer and he walks away. Well, I go back to the pipe and I'm calling his name out and I'm asking and stuff. And then so I said, okay, I have to get the right light. So I turn my back to the RV place and I'm looking at the mud and where we thought maybe there were some footprints, and just kind of just trying to wrap my head about what's my next move. And then I hear somebody say something to me and I came out of my skin. Like,
mm.
I turned around thinking Sebastian had come out of that tunnel.
Oh my gosh.
It shook me head to toe. And I turn around and I'm like, there's nobody standing at the tunnel. And I go, where'd that? And then the guy's up there and I go, oh my goodness, guy, like that. He goes, what? I go, you just dude, you can't do that to me like that. And he's like, what? I go, and there was no camera on, the cameras.
Oh,
And I go, you can't do it. He goes, what did I do? What did I do? I said, man, I'm on edge here. I don't know if this kid is in this thing, if he's trying, and I
right.
thought he had come out based on me calling for him. And I was just on edge, and that it was the whole day. But
Oh,
then I left there going to where there was some, like, supposedly some homeless encampments. You start
mhm.
thinking maybe he met up with some people like this, and they're still, living with him and stuff. And so
And
it
that's very
was,
real because when I looked for Daniel Robinson with his dad, we looked in the desert where he was last seen. And then later in that day, we met up because he wanted everyone to pass out flyers in the homeless camp. Well, in Phoenix, man, those places are scary. But he had that theory that he had possibly gotten away for a little bit away from something or someone and went to a homeless camp
yep,
just to change his life for a while.
that's
Now,
I'll
if you
say,
think about the statement, oh, go
well,
ahead. And then
I'll
remind
add,
me to bring up the statement Seth said.
I'll add to that that's where that's part of, or that's connected to the last place I searched in this
Okay.
town.
That's what we did. I didn't get out of the car because David and I got separated. We were in the same group and I was afraid to get out by myself. But it was terrifying. And
Yeah.
yes, they do say that, well, wasn't there, who was that boy? There was another one who was found in a homeless camp. He was autistic.
Well, you just, and I don't even know if I should, but just like, we know they didn't want him, right? Allegedly, from what we heard, they,
2022 trying to put him
yeah,
somewhere. Yeah.
stepdad and mom, trying to push him off. And so, you ask yourself, is someone cold hard enough just to pull up to a homeless encampment and push the boy out, right? I mean, and say, here you go. And not knowing what's going to happen to him, right? I mean, is he going to live with them? Are they going to hurt him and all those things? And, kind of along those same lines. And I think, from what I understood, is there was a conversation between Seth and Chris, allegedly, that led to this area. And there's a couple, I can tell y'all,
The homeless area?
there's a couple of other things that are, relevant of CP and KP and what they
Mhm.
do. And it fit. And so that's why, and then there's just a vast area there, vast area. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just, there's so much room. And, so we walked it, we looked, trying to find stuff. And, fortunately or
Right.
unfortunately, I don't know which way you say it, right? I mean, it's like, you're fortunate you don't find him, in a way that he wouldn't be what we would want him. We want him healthy and alive. And then it's also unfortunate that you find nothing, no way to. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's but yeah,
I
so
find it interesting that the tips are leading to sightings, but I don't know if it's because people are looking for them. You know what I mean? But I find there's another interesting thing about, and I went over this on my channel, is the sightings that I've received. There's family members in each area.
oh really?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing about, okay,
There
so
it is.
everybody can relate to this. What I'm about to say is a psychological effect.
Mhm.
So if you've never owned a green car, let's say, all right, or a green Honda Civic, let's say, and you
Mhm.
buy one, what happens when you buy that car and you start driving? You start noticing all the other ones that
Everything
look
green.
like it.
Right.
Right. It's just the way the brain works. So, like, that's why keeping his awareness alive is so important. Showing
Mhm.
his face, we're looking at it right here on the screen, right? To see that. And then who knows? 496 people watching now, that one of these people step out tomorrow in a public place, wherever they are, and there he is, that they may not have known before you're sharing his face.
Mhm.
So that's, it's that focus of being on the brain and knowing that this kid is missing, and he could be out there, and he, could be at this point 17 months. He could be in a public place by himself and not ask for help. We don't know what someone may have been doing to him for 17 months if he's still out there like that.
They could have
Um,
gotten him addicted to rugs to where he's so messed up he can't even think straight.
million different possibilities. And that's why
Right.
it's like,
You just don't know.
You just don't know. So you come back to the thing of, hey, I think, like I said to you, I will state it here that I believe that even with my not so good experience face to face, and that was a bad experience that day with all three organizations, FBI, TBI, and
Yeah.
Sumner
Wow.
County.
Mm-hmm.
But my experience there with that was deflating, defeating, if you will, in a way. But with that being said,
You
um,
messaged me from there. I
yeah,
remember.
yeah. I mean, I think I
And the
emailed him as soon
FBI
as I,
and the
yeah,
TBI.
yeah. It was, and so I think my video of what I found there was done in the TBI parking lot. But anyway, so, but I said this to you today, and I was thinking about this, and this is, I pride myself on this, that you can see both sides. You know, as I'm standing there in front of Detective Carter and I'm trying to share what I think is evidence and I'm trying to, help here, how do I not know that he has everything he needs? How do I not know that based on his investigations, none of us know that they need 10 things and they have 9 of them, but they don't have Sebastian.
That's what I thought.
And that could be
However.
the one thing that,
Mhm.
because regardless of what happened, I think we all can agree somebody's done something with him, right? Whether
Mhm.
it's these people or strangers, somebody's done something. So to state it like this, you have 9 pieces of information or that's factual stuff that's through the investigation, and the prosecutor will not move forward because you don't have him, because that's their only chance to get who may have done something to them, whether
Which
that's
is what
hurt.
we know the theory was earlier on, right? Is that they want to go for the gusto,
Yes, you
right?
don't want to lose that shot. You don't want
Right.
to try and lose it, and then then later you have him, and it could have been, either he could tell the story of what happened, or you have the evidence to seal it up. So you have to think about it like that, and I wasn't at the time. Believe me, I left that place and I was not very happy, and I wasn't thinking like that, but I've thought back on it and I'm like, so what does that say? Let's go find him. What can we do to find him? What can we step out in the woods and look, whatever it is, what can we do? Keep our eyes on head on a swivel when we're especially when you're in that area. I mean, what's the craziest thing? You're standing in a convenience store in his hometown, and there he is.
Oh, come on. That would
I
be
mean,
I
you
would
say
be
what?
that can happen.
Okay,
Yes. It could
but
happen that
that's
I'm here in Arizona and walk into the Walmart
there
and
you
he's
go.
there,
There you go.
you know? But one thing
Absolutely.
I want to be the devil's advocate on what you just said though about the needing the one thing. Because I went back through my videos to look back at how far back I was frustrated with law enforcement. And it was, yeah, I think it started in May of
Okay.
that first year. And then when Seth, they started speaking to Seth, right? And hold on, let me take that comment down. When they started speaking to Seth and, helping him out, and they told him they had a mountain of evidence, then I thought, well, maybe it is that one thing they're waiting for, and they want to, make sure they can sink the case. But when Seth got up and called them liars the other day,
Yeah, that's
that's
true.
where I said, okay. And then when there was a post about vanishing reports, that just blew. I've worried about that all along. So I kind of took my step back because Seth was gung ho. Seth was like, if you're going to work with me, I'm there. I want to know what you know. I want to work with you. And then he's like, but the actions never fit the words. Well, they told him there was a mountain of evidence and they just needed one more little piece, apparently. What they needed one way or another, Sebastian.
Right.
But then suddenly now Seth says everything you've said was a lie.
Right.
So
Yeah. No, that was another. There was
I
it was
worry.
there was about 4 things that he said that really I was encouraged by what he
There's
said,
some
and
things
and
that
and
blew my mind.
that was one of them, because the way he views that detective is how I view him, and
And me too. He's
And so
It's hard.
yeah.
When I send him I asked him for a statement the other day. You know me, I just got to do it. I'm like, could I please have a statement on the happenings the last 2 weeks?
Right.
And I actually got a response from him.
Oh, you did?
Well, yeah, because when all this other stuff was going on, I kind of, after a couple of days, said the same thing. This is your only case. The least you could do, basically, is make us, respond to me and let me know you got it.
Right.
And he
Oh, yeah,
did.
that's right.
And
That's right. That
he
you
did.
told me
But
that.
then later on, I said to him, when we were allowed to release things and, all that, I said to him, would you like to make a statement? Because I'm going to be doing a live. And he just said, the FBI is investigating. But he responded.
Wow.
Ask him but I still think the phone you got. Come on, Silvers.
Well, it's weird
Come on.
it's weird you said that just now, because you jogged my memory on the FBI. And
Yeah.
I've had 2 experiences with them, and I posted both of them. The first one was and so this is kind of like, it's kind of like anybody, right? You may go to get your tires changed, and the person you deal with is great. They change them. You come back for the next rotation, and you're dealing with a different person. So maybe your experience is different. So, I went to the FBI on the Friday before I went that Monday. That was when I had the phone and I'd repaired the screen. So I took it to the FBI on that Friday, and I spoke to an actual agent. Okay. This guy looked like he stepped out of the movies. Right. And so he brought me in. We sat down in a room. We went over, he took notes. He wouldn't take the phone because it wasn't his case, and he was taking notes for the agent whose case it was. But I left there just beaming. I was like, man, they've got somebody on this. This could be something, And so I was going to follow. And then I go out and I find all this stuff, possible skull and all these things. And I go back to that same place going, I mean, you got to realize I'm walking up like, hey, they know me, right? They're going to go. And I get a completely different person who I don't believe is an agent. And it was just a complete 180, night and day difference of thing. And they point me to the TBI. And so I go, okay, TBI is going to do something great. They point me to Sumner County, and that's how and I was talking to Carter when the only time I've ever seen either one of them in person, when Craddock walked by. He walked by and went into his office as we stood there talking. And not that he would have to stop for any reason, but I mean, it's just it took
jurisdiction. Someone's in there bringing evidence. One would think, but
something.
that's whatever. Go ahead.
Something, but
I got.
But yeah, no. If
ridiculous, because remind me to tell you about my phone call again. But go ahead.
And I don't think he'll mind me saying this, because they're great people. Car guy 1 and 2. Car guy 1 and 2.
Our guy comes into our community. He said he emailed me lately, but he said he'd been taking a break from everything for a little bit.
What's interesting, and I've shared this with them so they know, but what's great about Car Guy is, like we talk about different opinions, he can be that person who you run something by him and he can say, well, for this or that, give more of a, it probably couldn't happen, right? And I like that, right? Because sometimes I got these almost like fantasy thoughts. And so when I found this thing that we deemed, it's either got to be some type of plastic or some type of bone, could be from an animal, from whatever, I know he was waiting when I brought it up to show it to him. And Car Guy 2, she's like me. We're looking at each other like this. So here's my point with all this I'm saying. I remember turning to him and saying, what do you think? And the look he gave me, that just added to what.
You mean about the skull?
Yeah, it was, because typically he would be one to be like, if he didn't think it was something, go ahead and turn it in, but I don't think you have anything there. But the look he gave me, and then it was just like, this could be something. And then he said what I said, which is, it's either got to be some type of hardened plastic, or it appears to be bone, right? And everyone I've ever shown it to believes it's some type of bone. And, I would have been more happy with, hey, it was a bone of a pig or something, right? A bone of a
Right.
dog.
Not a
But
plastic toy.
yeah, we got nothing like that, right? So,
Head of an action figure. You just brought me a head of an action figure with a gun shop. Who did it?
right. And
Dude.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy
I know
stuff.
it
But,
is.
when we went back,
And I just
so
said
they
the
were
word.
with me the first time we went there when we found it. They were with me, and then I went back once by myself. It was flooded really heavily, and then they went back with me again, and we combed that thing because that's, Tara, the
Mhm,
medium was,
mhm.
that was very strong in her reading, and um, but we went back there and we ran through that thing, and just we cleared out that concrete that was there that was suspicious, and it unfortunately we couldn't find anything, and so but um
But that phone.
yeah,
Remember
they
when
were with that was the
you
first
remember when
time,
oh, go ahead.
the
I'm
first time
sorry.
I ever met the car guys was when I found the phone. That was the first time I ever met them.
Were they out
And
there searching and you ran into each other, or was it
no, 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 no,
coordinated?
no, no. We had just contacted through,
I do
whatever. I think it was
remember that.
email.
I do remember because you said that was after that was after Janine Chrissy first came out and said
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
And
And
I
so
reached out to you, remember? And I said, "Can you go 27.7 miles away?"
yeah,
You're like, "I'm not sure I can." And
yeah,
then like the next day, you're like, "Jay, we're on
yeah.
our way." And
And that
I've got
was
we're meeting up car guy 1, 2, and 3, I think you
right.
said.
Well, the thing is they are the example of what I mentioned earlier. If you're there, if you can get there, wherever you are, and you got the time to do it. And
Amen.
that's what they do, right? And so
Mhm.
they led us to there, and yeah, I'm just, that's another possibility, right? I mean, there's just so many different ones, but I just happen to be walking that road, and I don't know. I don't think I've ever found a cell phone. I found cases, but not a cell phone. And it's obvious to me, I mean, I would say 95%, right, that this phone was tossed out of a car.
Mhm.
Okay.
'Cause you went
Um,
over let them for those who don't know, you went over an embankment off the road, right? You went down off the road because you saw and found the phone.
yeah. So the way the
And, like,
road
you
is,
could have been
it's
tossed to I want them because I know the story, but some people might not.
yeah. So the way the road is heavily trafficked, and they're fast. The cars are going by fast, and so you can either walk on the like shoulder right against the curb because it's a steep drop off. So when you cross over the guardrail, you've got maybe 3 feet and it drops, right? So
Mhm.
when I'm walking and I'm going, what do I want to do? Do I want to walk and get over if a car gets too close, or do I just want to go ahead and get over? So I got over on the opposite side of the guardrail, and I stick next to the guardrail so I'm not going to fall off this. And it's even hard to look over it because it drops. So I'm sure people that live there know this is a drop off. So if you want to discard something, right, you just chuck it out that window, going on that side because you can't do it from the other side; it's too far. And
Mhm.
you just chuck it out, and the thoughts are it's going to go and it's going into oblivion, right? It's going off that cliff, if you will. And
Right.
so
Your
that was
thought
why it was so.
is Silver's on the scenes coming in.
Well, that's why it was so. Well, that's why it was so suspicious too, because
You're
it
gonna
didn't make
find
it. It didn't make the 3 foot
it.
jump, right? And it
Mhm.
landed where it's there, and I'm like, okay, this is, why are we here? Because of somebody's 27.27, and now there's this phone, and so yeah, and it. Well, that was a task. I couldn't. You can't crack those things. The only way you can crack them is to reset them. Okay.
Mhm.
So there's a code you can key in, and thank everybody, the people, you know who you are. If you sent me to these places, and Car Guy was one of them too, sending me links. And so several different websites will bring you to the point where you're not getting in the phone to see what the phone is. You're resetting the phone so you can now have it as your own. Does that make sense? So,
Mhm.
so I get to the point keying in the codes where it says, if you press this, the phone. Well, I don't want the phone to reset because I'm looking for the information on the phone, right? And
Mhm.
so, So there was no way. There was never a way to, and that's why I took it to the FBI that they maybe could plug something in and get into it. But even the guy who repaired the phone, just to give people an idea of how people care about people, right? Even the guy
Tell them
who
what it
repaired.
said real quick, though.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry. Can you tell those who don't know what it said on it?
Oh yeah, it was so I would talk to the guy who repaired it. He was a super nice guy, and he says, I don't think we're going to be able to get in the phone unless you have the passcode. I go, well, let's repair it anyway. We got to get there, right? So he repaired it, and I said to him, I go, man, I hope when it comes on, it's got Sebastian's face on it, right? How great would that be?
Yes.
And so it comes up, it does it. And he says, look, I tried to get into it, I can't. I don't think you're going to be able to, but maybe you can try some way or whatever. And so he said it was either I think there was a voicemail on it, but we couldn't access it. And then you could go into an emergency contact. It would show you, and Terry was an emergency contact.
Was it
gosh,
spelled Terry?
yeah, it was spelled Terry. It
Okay.
was okay. There was, I know what it was if I remember correctly here. So you know how you have the little circle on the phone, like our circles on our face here, and then it may have the letter like M, like SS for CTB, crime time buzz. So the circle had a D in it. Okay, the circle for the contact had a D, but the name was Terry. And of course, what was I putting together? Dad Terry. He's my dad,
Oh, that's right.
Terry. And so, of course, that's what I was wanting, right? And then there was another. I guess I can say this now too. There was a number on there. Somehow I was able to access a number that had left the voicemail. I could see the number that had left the voicemail. And I don't think this is any. So I got that to, I'm not going to tell you who, but I got that to somebody who researched it.
Please.
And they came back to who that person was. I had a photo and everything. And we were wondering why that person was calling this phone.
Was
But
that person someone connected that the
no,
audience
there was no connect. It got to a point. I tried to give these people the phone, and they didn't feel strongly enough about it to take it. So that's why I took it to the FBI. But I thought they would take it. I was hoping they would, because I would think they would have tools to break into it. It's kind of like when you get into water. I don't have any equipment to get into water, right? I mean, and there's ponds in his town that I think are suspicious, but I don't have any way of getting in there. I'm more than willing to go and speak with the owner and ask if we can go into that pond if someone has that equipment. But it's like, there's all these different things, I joke and I say, I'm not Aquaman, I'm Batman, right? I mean, I'm going to the woods on ground. Water's a different thing. And so,
I hear
but
you. There's so many things, like I'll hit a wall, and I'm not on the ground with Sebastian, but I'll hit a wall, and I'm me with tech, it's not my best thing. And it'll take me sometimes hours to figure out how to get around that wall so I can continue to figure out to go where I want to go, my rabbit hole.
Right.
But you can't stop.
Right.
And that's the thing, Silvers, is I don't think, entertainment purposes only, Silvers and I are having a conversation on our theories, speculations, opinions. We are not responsible for anything the chat says or each other.
Correct. Agreed.
I'll give you some protection right now.
Yeah.
But where was I going before I went off on that? What was I just talking about? I was going to tell you something, in my opinion, but what was our topic?
Well, you had mentioned not going down the rabbit hole and getting around obstacles and having to step back and think where you're going, and then you mentioned
the thing that upsets me is when so many of us, and Seth said the other night, please don't lose sleep, because I am sleep for me. Well, we're losing sleep, and regardless, right? We're losing sleep. We're pulling our hair out. We're trying to figure out, okay, I've hit a wall in research. Where do I go next? Or you're where do I search next? Or, anyone. And it's just, I can't relate to, I don't care if it's 17 months, if it's 17 years.
Yeah.
If someone said they were going to give me my son in a hotel in Cancun, if I coughed up 30K or whatever, we shared it, 30K and then the reward money, I would be going to the darn Sumner County, beating on the door and say, you better have that money there now. Right?
Right.
But that's where I get so upset, because we're all feeling that. Seth probably hasn't slept in 17 months a good night.
No, I'm sure he hasn't.
And that just really hurts, to not have the mom out there in front of the media going, fine, we'll give it to you. I know it's a touchy subject, Silvers, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it crap out of me.
Yeah, it's
I can't relate. You can't relate. If it's
here's
your
the thing.
grandbaby, your child, your neighbor.
Well, here's the thing. The way you state it is you're not putting any words in anybody's mouth. You can't control someone's behavior. You're just stating what you're witnessing, right?
Right.
And it just, I mean, there's a, you can look at Seth, and that's the way someone should be grieving. I mean, that's it, and especially for this case, because it's about Sebastian and he's his dad. There was this missing little girl that had gone over to spend the night with her half brother, because they had different dads, and his dad ended up taking her out in the woods and killing her. Right? It's just so sad of a story. I've tried to find that because I wanted to show what, how a mother should be, right? I mean, this mother was, first of all, she was mad at him because she was under your watch. Where is she? After 12 hours of her daughter's missing, it's from 9 a.m. It's 9 p.m. and her friends and family are asking her to, you need to lay down, you need to go. And she's losing her mind, going, how can I sleep? How can I lay down? I don't know where my daughter is, right? There's none of that, and we're not making them do whatever they're doing it in front of us. They're just no care. There's no concern.
No.
If Sebastian Rogers here,
that photo of that food saying, eat your heart out, because we are, there's Silvers.
That's just the a-hole. That's what that is.
There is nothing I could say to him other than negative if I ever saw him, because that in itself just broke my heart. That's just cruel. That's just downright cruel.
Isn't this the same guy who allegedly, from what we heard, stopped a car and accosted people for driving through his neighborhood?
The neighborhood. Women. Women.
That's true, but it's also his neighborhood. I mean, their neighborhood.
Yeah, so, but women. What did he say?
Yeah.
My mom's important around here.
Yeah.
And what did Seth say the other night? I'm so glad he said it. I've said it too for many, many months. He's getting his milk.
Yep.
I hate to say it. He's a nobody. I have a local source who shared with me. He is an absolute nobody. Not even the neighbors knew him. Okay. This is not like, he was not like some big star in Hendersonville. Like he's going on mama's coattails.
Yeah, no, well, that's part of that's not only keep putting yourself into the case because you probably know what happened, but also trying to get some notoriety and look at me and all that stuff, The
little man syndrome again. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about mom. Mom's allegedly, in our opinion, but it's like, my mom's this, my mom's that. So let's, gosh, I just think that if they could arrest him allegedly for the CPS or whatever they could have on him, he would be the one who would sing because he needs that. He's used to being taken care of, in my opinion. Whereas if they arrested, let's say, someone else for neglect or not reporting or would whatever, I don't think she would. She's a tough cookie. She's lived a tough life. And I feel bad for her. That was her childhood.
Right.
Believe me, there's not a part of me that is happy she went through that. There is not a part of me that thinks she deserved it. There is not a part of me who wishes that upon her. However, we got to protect everyone, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, let's, I'm one of the things I said to you today is I think, let's see what people have to ask. I'm curious about
Let's
that.
go
'Cause
through things. One thing I want to say before we go to all the chat, and I'm going to go back to the beginning, is I wanted everyone to look at the difference in Sebastian's nose in this picture. See how his nose looks so different and his lips?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want y'all to notice, just because he could change. So if you see a child with this nose or this, just remember he can change. He could have long hair. He could have dreadlocks. He could have a shaved head. He could have colored contacts.
Well, look at the eyes. Look at the eyes, squinty versus open.
Yeah. And the lips are different. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's pulling them tight in the left, and where they're more full in the other photo. Yeah, I've always said that too. It's weird you brought that up, because if you look at some of those flyers that have like 8 photos of him on, some of those are like
different kids.
He could be an actor. He has different looks about him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
So yeah, but that is a great point. And it's, if you think you see him and you feel strongly about it,
call 911.
Just call 911, and that's all you have to do. And go from there.
I know you're tired and you have to work too, so I'm trying to get to everything. But yeah, call 911 and talk about the case. It doesn't matter if you agree with someone. It's a matter you're talking about Sebastian.
And I think Seth said something like that, right? He was talking about 10 friends and 10 friends, and just 10 friends that you share it with, and then they can share it with 10 friends, and because I mean, you just never know.
Right, absolutely. Okay, here's a question.
Okay, there we go.
And we're gonna hit them all. I'm just starting in one area. So this is the lady who actually wrote the song.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Very good. Very good. Yes.
Silvers, do you think the bone was really a human bone?
The quick answer is yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, let me back up. You got the word human in there. Do I think it's a bone? Yes, is the quick answer. The reason I think it's bone is because underneath it, and I tried to show it on the video, but I don't know if it came across, but underneath it, there's plant life growing underneath it. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that happening with plastic. So I guess to answer your question, I can't really tell human or not, but I do believe it's bone. And I guess second to that would be, I believe more so that it's connected to Sebastian, just to how I felt that day. That's a whole different, we could take another time on that. But yeah, I do believe it's bone. And I believe that the last person I shared it with just not long ago, just to let them say actually works with bone, and they believe it's bone too. So
well, the thing of it is I'm glad you videoed and documented it, because everything that's been turned in, I looked it up. Whether they debunk it or not, they are to keep it. Okay, so all evidence they gather, they don't toss stuff. They're supposed to keep everything, and everything. So they should have that.
Yeah, they should.
And they should have, the audio Brandon Carter asked me for.
Well, the pants. What about the pants? They disappeared.
Yeah, well,
they were there. I told him he needed to go get them. So
what about the glasses? And I've got.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
well, that
Yeah.
was just that's something, and I told them, I've got a video coming up or live on that one. But there's just a lot that, and let's say there's nothing nefarious, okay? Nothing at all on law enforcement's part. When someone comes in to take this case, they're going to ask for all their documentation, all their forensics, all of their physical evidence, all of their circumstantial evidence, all of their interview documents, everything that they had done, every tip that came in and how they followed it. And thus, in my alleged opinion, is the reason we don't have the marshals in or FBI being called to lead it. Because I think, in my opinion, well, I know for a fact, I'll tell you right now, Seth Rogers said the Bristol, Virginia lead was not followed. He drove all the way there. They had the tip and had never made contact. Okay. I was involved in some other things where I know for a fact they weren't responding.
Right. And that leads me as we talk today. So when you start thinking about using resources and following up on something, if your investigation has led you, I would believe, I'm not law enforcement, I don't know, but I would imagine if your investigation has led you to the left and this is where everything is, all that other stuff, you can't put on a show and pretend like you're looking, but you also can't tell us, hey guys, the reason we didn't follow up on that tip or lead is we know what happened. We know exactly what happened. We're just waiting on whatever they're waiting on, right? So that's the part and they can't come out and tell us that because the perpetrator or whoever's involved, it doesn't, it tips them off or whatever you want to say. So so it's kind of like, if I'm trying to hide something, I can go and pretend to do something, but they can't use resources against something that's not going to lead them to where they know he's not, right? Kind of like we talked about earlier, right? She knows if she knows where he is, alive or unalive, then that would explain reactions to sightings and different things because it can't be him. Or I'm not going to rush, you're going to kill him. I know he's not there. You know what I mean? Stop playing your games over there because so maybe they have
again. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, not just maybe they have, I don't know how they would. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know enough to say if they're right at the end zone to make this touchdown happen and get justice for him and hold the people accountable. And all this other stuff's coming in. I don't see how they can say to us, the public, we're not going to follow on those things because we know that's not, you know what I mean? We know that's not it. And so we just don't know what they know, and we're never going to know, right? And so, but
well, okay, so you're kind of, to put that in a nutshell, you're saying, they're at the end zone, and that's where we were when they brought Seth in December, because that's what he was implied to.
Yeah, that's
evidence. Right. We're almost there. And now Seth's calling him a liar.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that backs me up. That's where I sat. Remember, I kept saying we're one puzzle piece away. After that, that's what I was thinking. But when I hear, what he truly shared, and Seth wouldn't say that if he didn't, he's in that profession too. He wears the blue.
Right.
He also has to watch himself. Yes, it's affected his career. He's admitted that. But you know what? He said, everything you've said to me is a lie.
Oh, that's
so. Okay, so let's back up. Where is all the mountain of evidence they should have? Because Silvers, I'm telling you, they should have. Remember, we talked about before Mob Crew even brought it out. They got data that something with the Apple Watch. They should have had the data. We brought it up. Was her heart rate resting? They should have had cell phones. They should have laptops. We know they have the flashlight video. We know they have the audio. I know that because Brandon asked me for it. And we know that they've seen the video of the figures moving in the backyard which you hadn't seen. We know they have the footage of Texas Roadhouse now, which they thought nothing of before, but they have footage of it now, allegedly. You see people lurking around that car. You see flashlights in the backyard. All of that, the glasses. I want to know. Now that I know some things I know, and hit that notification bell because I'm going to do a live on it tomorrow. I want to know. Seth said bag them and tag them. And a couple days later, credit came out and said they weren't his. I want to know, did he check the prescription?
I see what you're saying.
I
Yeah.
want to make sure it wasn't word of mouth, because Seth may not have recognized them because they may have been new.
Well, that's what we said. Can we share with everybody what we said? If we had our wish, I've mentioned mine earlier. I think we were, and this is kind of goes where how Jay and I see this, and it's great. This is how a community works together to find the answers. But I said I didn't really even ask her. I was just telling her my wish would be to get in the house. Give me the house. Let me take the house. And then she said, I want to see the evidence. And then I was like, well, that's a great thing, right? To be able to see the evidence. So, there's these
what's there and what's missing, because we know what should be there. We know a lot of what should be there because it's been leaked to us.
Right.
Right?
Yes, right.
We also
right.
know, like, what they were talking about through people who were there around searching at the command post. They were watching footage. They knew it wasn't random. If something's not random, you recognize the individuals.
Right.
If you're confident enough to whisper to others, it's not random, your family's okay, why can't you say it to everyone?
Right.
Allegedly, in my opinion. And if it's not random, you're recognizing people. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Right.
I don't know, because that's kind of how I see it. Like, and for the longest time after I heard that statement, it didn't dawn on me. It meant they had knowledge, but it didn't dawn on me. That means you recognize. Someone recognizes, right? If
right.
it's not random.
Right. Yeah, random is you don't know.
Yeah,
if it's not that,
but we know it's not random. Y'all are okay. Why are we just whispering it to a few and telling the whole community instead of telling the whole community who's been begging for something? Especially after he blew his top on, YouTube that time, going crazy. The locals were nervous. We thought for sure that would bring out a statement, and it didn't. So I don't know. I'm concerned about, here's my statement. I'm concerned that someone else is going to get hurt before someone's required to stand forward and do something. And I don't say that because I know something. I don't say that because anything I'm researching is leading to that. I just have a bad feeling because of the silence. Is someone going to get hurt? Is something going to happen to someone before someone does something?
Right.
Because we've contacted mayors, governors, you name it. What's it going to take for that one person? Kash Patel's been contacted by, At Night in One World. What's it going to take for that person to step in before something else happens? I mean, there's been a hit put on Dog's head.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? I mean, it's just...
At Night families have received things that show their children and their spouses with threats. I just don't know whether it's rescue or recovery. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, obviously, but we want to locate Sebastian, right? And we don't want someone else to get hurt. And I'm really worried with the silence from law enforcement that it's empowering people to just have, the mentality that they can do anything.
Right.
And you disagree with me anytime. So am I off? Am I?
No. It's look, it's, the thing is we speculate, we do theories, we do all these things. And we talked about this today. If take me with the house, right? Okay, so he could be in the
Mm,
home, right?
right.
Okay, you get me to stop talking about the home by having a press conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it shares information that says um, you don't see the boy leaving the home, so there's been a lot of speculation he could still be in home. We're telling you the home has been searched. They went away for 3 weeks. And I remember that when that happened, when they went over to Horn Lake,
Mm-hmm.
allegedly the law enforcement was back in the home without them there, right? So
At the
these
undercovers, was that when they were undercover?
I don't yeah, I remember all that about but I remember
Okay.
people were saying, hey, they're law enforcement's back at the house because they
Mm-hmm.
weren't there. And so there's most likely he's maybe not in the home, but without telling us stuff like that can eliminate that, you still open up the speculation. That's where you talk about the random, right? They won't know, was it random? Well, no, it was targeted. So if it's targeted, then you have nothing to worry about. Neighborhood, this home,
It was taken.
this
Yep. He was
family.
taken and it
He was
wasn't red.
taken, right? He was either taken, okay, that he was targeted and taken, or he was hurt, and it has nothing to do with a kidnapping. I mean, something happened in that home. Allegedly, my opinion, he got hurt and he was removed from it, never to come back. There you go. Um,
And it could also be taken kind of where I see it as removed from the home. It's someone they recognized. It's not a runaway, right? You're all safe, but not you're all because they're not telling the general public, they're whispering. But I don't, no one said in that statement to me, he's not with us. So we all see it different ways. It could be both ways, but both ways is he's not there. Both ways is a car pulled up at 3 a.m. and that was confirmed by different people.
right,
There were flashlights. Now, come on. If Katie had Sebastian take the trash to the end of the driveway, and she made sure we all knew that, right?
right,
Why would she accept the theory that it was a trash truck behind her home? They know they're not putting the trash out there. Seth doesn't know that. But that's what law enforcement told them. So that's, to me, that bothers me too.
yeah,
Because they told them that, all of them that, but they know one person who doesn't live there who doesn't know that's a bunch of baloney.
yeah, right.
Why aren't
And
the other two saying it's baloney?
well, also too, there you could have a situation to where, from what I've seen, I don't know who gave him the authority, the news guy, to release it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they wanted it released.
No, they did not.
Okay, so now you have what could be a very critical piece of information or
Mm-hmm.
evidence to help solve the crime, and it's been released to the public. So now,
You're
since it's
right.
out there, if you can convince those who are involved that it is nothing, it gets
Mm-hmm.
them to stop thinking about it, right? Even though they would know, of course, if they did it, that it is something. But at least, I mean, because if you go back and watch,
Yeah, in the beginning we thought, yeah, maybe that, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. But as you add things onto it, it's hard to grasp that, right?
if
For
you,
me.
in my opinion, if you watch Chris,
Mm-hmm.
just get happy as he can, in my opinion, and lean in and tell whoever it was like 11 days, I think, after he's missing. Two things happen at that moment when she brings up the flashlights. Two things happen. Katie
Right?
retreats. Katie is playing with something of Sebastian, and she retreats under the table. She pulls her hands back and she goes silent.
Mm-hmm.
Chris smiles, gets happy, kind of leans in to tell you, hey, I wish it was something, but it's not something. We really wish it was something, but it's not. That was a trash truck. Whole time I'm not listening. I'm listening to him, but I'm looking at her
Watching,
because
yeah.
she's telling me she knows he's lying, and
Mm-hmm.
she's telling me that it was something because she's already told me that he told her to run back, and she ran back. But wait, I drove back, right? So I think both are true. I think
Mm-hmm.
he told her that night, in my opinion, to run back, and she did. to the home. And I think the next morning he told her to drive back. So I think both happened. She was actually telling both. But then she also says, right, I'm driving around, but he's already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm driving around, but he's already. So if you take that statement, what she's saying is, in my opinion, right? My opinion, everybody, that I'm driving around looking for somebody who I know is already gone. Which would make sense. You have your windows up and you're not screaming out the windows as you drive around.
Or you're driving like a bat out of hell.
Right? You're just zooming up and down that road. And
Jeez.
so,
And what about
but
the new edition at 12 months where she said, oh, and I stopped and talked to a lady who was walking her dog. And she said she hadn't seen him. Okay, well, we've never heard someone come forward on that.
right. Oh my goodness.
But there's
Well,
a question here.
I
Go
see
ahead.
this. Yeah. So well, first of all, I would say this.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I will go. Yeah, didn't CP make the comment that there was no need to search for firearms? The first thing I'd say is this: you have to take with a very grain of salt whatever he says. Right? That's always. But he probably did say that, and no reason to search for firearms. I find it odd to be an odd comment. I do too. Do the Proudfoots have property within the area?
Oh,
I mean,
many.
yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
Many.
You know, when I was in Memphis searching, or Horn Lake,
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly, right. I was at this. I was behind the
On
camp.
addresses. Just
The
kidding.
camp.
Go ahead.
Well, I was behind the campground, and there was a property that you could see the signs posted: no trespassing private property. And that's when the thought came to me. So you could see the opening to go into the woods, and once you're in there, no one could see you, but it's private property. And so I didn't go in. I eventually did go in. I eventually asked after the Horn Lake police said we could go places. I went in there, but that's where I got my first thought of, you know, if I want to hide someone, you know, in this case specifically a body, I want to hide a body. If I can go in at night onto private, even though it's not my property, right? And it's not my family's property, but it's if I can take the risk to go on someone's property. So Jay, you own property, and someone goes on there and they dig a hole and they put a body in it, they cover it up. You never knew they were there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an area you don't go to. So for me to go searching, I would never gain access to that place because it's private property. So that's what a criminal does, right? They break the law, and then we have to abide by the law in order to find, you know, what we're looking for. In this case,
crime they broke, right?
Right. So
just like if Seth went and beat the heck out of the person he thinks, like he said, I'd love to give you a beating till you told me where he was. If that happened, Seth would be behind bars.
Of course, right? And that's what not only makes, you know, us trying to help and Sebastian's army and trying to find, but it also makes it difficult for the law enforcement too, because they have to stay within the law, right? And so, you know, if they could go pull either one of those two out of that home and, you know, do some kind of torture or whatever you want to say, you know, they would, but they can't. It's not a so that's always the thing with.
What did you just say? What did you just say?
What I'm saying is they have to abide by the law. I've always told Silvers too this. I said the thing about a criminal versus a law enforcement officer is they're not playing the same game, right? One is breaking laws to get ahead, and the other one has to stay within the law. And for a law enforcement officer, that has to be it has to be very difficult, right? It has to be frustrating, right? So if someone went and put something on a private property, you could never access that without just getting lucky one day and saying, "Hey, man, I want to search this area, and I know you own it, and it's private. Will you let me search?" And then it'd just be, you know, random luck that you were able to get on there and find it. But that's always been a thought of mine. So whether it's his own family's property,
but wouldn't it be probable cause based on if you watched every panel he was on? Wouldn't it be enough probable cause to get a search warrant to every one of his family's properties? I'm asking because I don't know.
Well, that's, you know, I would,
because everything he said, everything he's alluded to, everything he's posted, I mean, if he's not involved, like we've talked about, okay, we're dealing allegedly with some mental health things like we talked about. But wouldn't that be enough probable cause from some of the statements he's made to go check every property? And wouldn't you normally check every property of the families?
Personally, everything, yeah, I would say yes,
No
and
stone unturned.
secondly, yeah, exactly, and just if I was law enforcement, anytime surely they've got all the times he's been on, because
Yeah.
that to me would just go get him and do some questioning, right? I mean, just
Mhm.
what are you talking about this, and what are you talking about that, and why are you getting so upset about this, and you know, uh, we remember the time when Carter came out and said we can't tell people what to say.
Not to say,
Yeah,
right?
what not to say. And so we're saying we can't tell you not to say something. So that just totally, debunked what he was saying, that he couldn't
I'm
speak
not
on certain
allowed to
things.
say this. I'm not
Right.
allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to discuss this.
Right.
Yeah, I
And I see they
agree.
said here, does everyone just about the phone? Yeah, I mean, I how we got there, we got there by the lady in 27.27. I
Mhm.
mean, it's I joke that with the guy who was repairing it, I go, what we probably got is a jealous boyfriend or girlfriend or a jealous wife or jealous husband who
Mhm.
saw something on the other one's phone, toss it out the thing, right? And but yeah, we'll never know. I don't know what he's done with the phone. I have no idea. He Detective Carter has it.
So we know if this ever goes to trial, there should be a phone in evidence.
Um, yeah, there should be a phone in
I
evidence.
Googled it. Even if they think it's not related, they have to keep it.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. And there was a time I thought about going and asking for it back.
Mhm.
uh, just to see what that process was like and what they would tell me, and at
I
least
can
it could they
tell you
could.
what they tell you. This is an ongoing investigation.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Silvers, do you have any feeling about the phone you found? Do you have a gut feeling it was Sebastian's, or, come on, y'all. Oh, match me
I
for two.
I, I
Do you have
will
a gut feeling
say
on
no. The only thing I didn't have a feeling about it other than there was allegedly. I'm not saying it was the Terry we know.
that?
I'm just
Right,
saying
right.
I videoed. I think I put it on video. Terry was
Mhm,
in the. It was Terry. It was in there. There was a circle beside it that had the D in it. I don't know what that means, or if that was the D contact or whatever. Um, I even so I got to the point. I didn't want to do it, but I got to the point to where I tried to call that number. Right,
Ooh,
like I didn't have that number of the
uh-huh,
Terry. I just had the name. Right, so contact, you have the name, you
right.
don't have the number. So I tried to. I finally got to the point. I couldn't break it. I couldn't get into it, and I said, let's just see who answers, and it won't dial. It won't nothing on. So I saw a comment earlier where they say if you put it into the computer, you can pull things off. I
Mhm,
tried that too. You can't because it's locked. Okay, so it is locked. If you guys remember, if everybody remembers, several years ago there was a case, and
mhm,
Wouldn't unlock the phone. I don't know if the person was deceased or what was going on in jail, but so there's all these privacy things. So the only way that phone's getting broken into is by the actual code, unless the FBI has something or whatever. But
mhm.
and there was a time I was trying. It was like it could be between 4 and like I don't know 16 digits, because it's one of those Pixel phones. I have an iPhone, so I don't know what a Pixel phone how it works. But there's so many different combinations it could have been, and so but I tried them. I sat around and keyed in several numbers, and it never would open up. And so yeah, but no. So my feeling on the phone, it's 50-50. I mean, it have nothing to do with it. It could have everything to do with it. The only connection would be the name Terry. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
If there would have been a name in it like Jim or Bob or something that had, but to see Terry in a phone where there is a Terry that is very close and has made himself known with the things he's done,
Mhm.
I thought that did stand out. I don't know if that pushed me one way or the other, but it was very frustrating not being able to get into it because I just was visualizing that, breaking it open, getting into it, seeing photos of Sebastian,
Right. I
I,
remember you really, were
yeah, I was. I mean,
excited about
I
that.
was
That's a
hopeful.
great, I mean, that's a great find.
Yeah, I was hopeful of even to the point of it had the evidence that would do everything for us, right? It would solve
Mhm.
everything, and who knows? I don't know where it's. Like I said, the FBI gave me hopeful. But now I have to say this though on the FBI, because I'm sure the guy I spoke to on that Friday turned those notes over, and once again, like I said, obviously the agent in charge of the case didn't feel like it was relevant,
Mhm.
right? So, but and there's another search place. What is at the bottom of that big hill right there, right? I mean, if a phone was thrown out, what
Mhm.
else was thrown out?
What else could, and that was the location of the 27 point.
It was not only the location, because that's where our videos mixed. You talked about
Right.
it, and I came back, and it was
Mhm.
not only the 20, it was the exact
Right. And you weren't even gonna be
27.27.
there for weeks, and you made a point to get there.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to. I don't want anybody to. I don't. I'm stating this just to show how serious I am about Sebastian Rogers. I
Mhm.
live in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I'm based out of. My territory, or my sales area, is all of Tennessee and all of Georgia. I'm in South Georgia right now, currently. So, but here's my point. There has been two occurrences, one in Hendersonville, or this 27.27, and one in
Mhm.
Memphis. We've talked
Right.
about both of them tonight. One was the phone, and one was the looking into the pipe.
Oh gosh.
On both of these occurrences, and I have the car guys as verification, I woke up that morning, I got in my car, I drove 270 to Hendersonville, or to the 2720. First time to ever meet the car guys. We searched all day, not just in that area. We went other places, and I drove back home that evening.
I have photos from that day that you sent.
And then in the Memphis, Silver's 2 couldn't make the trip. She had something to do.
Uh-huh.
But I left my house. I drove 375 miles to Memphis. I searched for 5 hours, and I almost stayed the night because I was so tired, but I decided to come back. So I think I left somewhere around 7 in the morning, and I think I got back around 2 in the morning. So I was gone like almost 24 hours, 19
Mhm.
hours. And I'm not saying that to get anybody to say, "Oh, you're great." I'm just saying that's my devotion when I feel like something's, because I'm only going when I go for work. I find myself in the area. I'm working there. Like I told you, find yourself in the area for whatever. Can you spend an extra day in work and look for Sebastian? That's what we do, right? We go, I work, and I find an extra day to look for him. Sometimes I find 2 days to look for him. And but on these two occurrences, based on what car guy had seen, based on what someone had shared with me, I didn't feel like I could wait till my next time to get there. Does that make sense? I didn't feel like
Absolutely.
I could wait,
I
like I
was
told you, a
so
couple of weeks.
impressed. I mean,
Yeah.
your
So,
dedication,
well,
you couldn't get there when we talked about it.
and
I
so,
think we talked and you couldn't get there. You had, your job changed. You couldn't get there. You felt bad. And I said, don't worry about it. You said it'll be a couple weeks, and suddenly you're there.
yeah, no, and it's it doesn't bother me. I've just learned how to. I don't let. I focus on the thing, but I think it's a good time to mention that, and it's a life lesson for everybody. Do what you have to do, and don't worry what people say, because when you see those people saying he's doing it for money, or he's wanting the reward and all this, if I was doing it for money, I wouldn't spend the money that it takes to go those distances. You know what I mean? I would wait. I
Absolutely.
would wait till I'm there, because so yeah, so it's, but and then it just,
Well, and
so
you
it,
just can't win, because if you don't cover something, like if I hadn't have brought forward a few things, you bring it forward, it's meaningless. Why are you saying this? And if you don't, why didn't you tell us? You just can't win at times.
right. I'm seeing this right here where it says Silver the
Yeah,
Tree
that's what I wanted to
House.
ask you, because I had
Okay.
told you about the treehouse tip. So what that is they labeled the tip the treehouse tip, and I think it might be yours, where was there domestic items inside there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And was
Yeah.
there a box of water?
I don't know if there was a box of water. I could go back to the thing.
They
But
labeled it the treehouse tip. And so
so
what she's asking you is, was something rolled in a tarp? Was it ever checked?
okay, so first is this, if this is Joni, thank you that emails me, because I think it is, and it's the first time I guess to see you here. So she sends
Aw.
great emails and really motivates me and encourages me to keep going. So if I think
Oh,
it is
thank
her.
you,
So
Joni.
thank you for that. Yes. So what this was this was in the area, the last search I did, and I've noticed it from a distance where we were, and I believe what it is, it was a deer stand, right, for hunters,
Mm-hmm.
right? But most of those deer stands, they sit on the side of the. I'm not a hunter, so I don't. But you sit on the side of the tree, or you maybe got a little. But this one was elaborate, right? So it had been built, and it could be a tree house, right? But so it's covered. You could sit in there. It could rain on you, all that stuff, and then you have little slide things where you would, I'm assuming, put your rifle out. And this area we're in is being developed now. So, but there was time where these, I'm sure, deer roamed, and that's why it was sitting where it was sitting. So I noticed this thing, and I went, and
Are you
I'm
allowed to
not.
tell the vicinity, Middle Tennessee, East Tennessee, or region, or you'd rather not? And I'm okay with you'd rather not.
If I'm correct here, I'm trying how to say. Let's see. It's not far from his home. That's number one.
Mm, mm-hmm. Okay.
Number two, there's something about the counties. I don't know if the counties change. I don't know. Can a city have two counties? I don't know. I mean,
Yes, they can be in different counties. Yes.
so that might be what it is. So
Okay.
that's a big hint. The counties
Gotcha.
change, but it's not far from his home.
Gotcha.
And so, so
So
I
for
see
my
this thing,
folks out there, write it down.
and, and and so I see this thing, and there's a couple of things I want to answer a question. So this is for anybody who may go out. Okay. I urge you to always have somebody with you. I've not been that smart. I've gone deep into those woods. I went in that abandoned house by myself. Don't do those things, right? Because if you twist your ankle and you can't walk, I mean, just little things like that, right? And of course, you
Mhm.
got the big threat of running into a person. So where this is, there's homeless encampments around. Okay, they're not far from this place, and so I was with the local and with Silvers too, and I said, I'm going in. I'm going to check this tree house, deer stand, whatever it is. So I get there, and you can see it on the video if you watch. You'll see me get quiet, and I actually crouched down. And it's daytime. I just felt like someone was around me. I felt the presence of someone, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
maybe even like I heard a voice. And
Mhm.
so I squat down and I'm looking around. And I'm right at the thing, but now with what I just heard and the chances of me I mean, it's 15 feet in the air, me climbing up there and someone being there, they could just simply push me down. So once I got my nerve that, I don't know what this person may be, or if I was just imagining somebody, I then called them and I said, I need you to come out here with me. So they came. And so then they stood at the base while I went up. And that way, because I didn't know if somebody was up there or not. I yelled out,
Right.
"Hey, hey, I'm here. I'm not looking. I'm just looking for a missing boy. If you're up there, if there's someone here, let me know that you're here." And so, but yeah, it was someone had been living there, no question about it. And it looked female to me, at least it could be two people, but definitely was a female. There were female items. It's on my video, you can see it. But so now what she's talking about, tarp, I believe, and I don't know if this is what she's talking about, but this is why I like her comments and this is why I like her emails. So she keeps me on my game. It is amazing how you can go out there and walk around and feel like you've combed an area and go back to her email and look at what you've missed because she's seen something. And you go, why did, and I've already busted myself about, I think, what she's asked. No, I did not move the tarp. It's not a tarp, it's actually a bed. If it's what she's saying, if she's saying it, I believe it was blue, it looks like a tarp, but it's actually a bed. Now, these are the things I asked myself later. I stood there, I went up in the treehouse, I did that, we were there. the ladies come out. They got out there with me, so I was secure. I had somebody watching my back, and I don't know why I didn't flip it over. I look back on my video, and I specifically went back to see if I could hear a voice, if I did hear a voice. And it's right after I discover this blue thing, which I believe, I'm pretty sure it's a bed, like a mattress. But it's something that needs to be flipped up and looked under, and I didn't do it. And it's it's bothered me now that we're talking about it. So no, the answer is no, and if that's what you're talking about.
And that's interesting. That brings me back to Michael Vaughn. When I was in Fruitland, we were trying to figure out how someone could have gotten out of the neighborhood with him. And we found this tunnel that goes out of the neighborhood, under the road, in front of the neighborhood, and to an abandoned factory, which, Reverend Donna had said an abandoned factory came into place. So I'm messaging her, and we go walking through the tunnel and we're filming. And we did not look. We looked in the grate that we walked over, but you're doing stuff, right? You miss it.
Yes, you're missing everything.
Well,
yeah.
Everyone saw a knife in that grate. And by the time I put it on, live, and they were talking, we were doing all that, they had all noticed this knife, and I'm like, oh no, I didn't notice it. Well, apparently they all called it in to the JD Huff, the chief. And so he was well aware we were in town, because everyone told them they had seen my film and there was a knife, and he had to go there, obviously, because he followed every lead, and they went there and they got it, and they said, no, it's not related. But moral of the story is, tell the sheriff or the lead you're in town, because he was like, oh, I know she's there. We've gotten about 50 calls today about a knife.
Yeah. And that's what, that's why.
And you overlook it, though. We walked right over it.
So I go with Tara's words, and she told me more than once, more than 12 times. She says it may take 50 times at the same place. She says you're just stepping over things. She actually enhanced, and I've only searched maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 times since I really started talking with her, but she's made me realize how quickly I walk by stuff. Take the car guys, for example. We'll be walking, and one will say, hey, what about this? And I'll be like 10 feet ahead. Went right by it. Right. And so there's just so much. And, because we're all hoping for that boom. There it is, just laying there, whatever it is we're looking for. But that's typically not the case. And then, I don't think she'll mind me saying, but, Tara is involved in searches. I told you this today that, I think it was her last search, because she not only gets readings, but she goes out locally and helps look. But she found herself standing basically on the body, so it had been decomposed and stuff. In it, really, yeah. She was in the body, and so.
And we're not talking about Sebastian, everyone.
No. But but the point of her story was that not only was she standing inside of it, but she had been there multiple times, right? And so leaves, car guy mentions that all the time. Leaves, there things like you're walking over these leaves that could be hiding something, but what do? You blow them away. You rake. There's just so much involved in it, and so but I base my whole thing off. You hear it all the time, with Kaylee Anthony down in Florida, where she was found by the utility worker, right? I've seen reports where guy goes to read the meter and finds bodies and stuff like that. So along those same lines of just being in the area, and I always say, whether he walked out, whether he was taken out, whatever happened, could he have found himself here? And that's where I come in, to find that if he is. And yeah. So, and then on the alive side, it's just because I may be looking for a recovery, I don't not look in a public place, right?
And
because
today I was researching recovery, and it doesn't mean just because I look for rescue, I'm not negating recovery.
Right. You can feel both. What it comes down,
critical mind,
Exactly. And it comes down to when you have to focus that time, because it's limited. We're all busy. We all have lives, and we're doing things. None of us here caused the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, right? Whether he walked away on his own, whether someone came in and got him, whether close family is involved, we didn't cause it, right? And so we're just trying to help. And when you have that moment, it's always good to know what is it that you can do, what can you add to just you look. I had somebody. There's a YouTube
Can
channel. I
I
can't think.
pause you real quick right there?
Yeah,
Can I just pause you for a second and say something really important?
sure.
And I want you to remember what you're saying about your YouTube channel. If you are in our chat and you know what happened to Sebastian, or you know anything, or you're in here out of curiosity, now's your time to come forward, to say what you need to say, and to end this. So if you're in here, that's what we want right now. Work with us, call the right people, and end this now. Sorry, Silvers.
No,
Had
you
to
didn't
do
never
it,
have to be. You don't have to be sorry
They're-
about anything, but especially that was perfect because
they
I,
come to vigils, they come in the chats,
yeah, it's
I hate to say it,
well, it's the same thing I say with when they talk about the reward. I'll say if that's what it takes for you to
yeah,
produce him, to bring him back,
it's not
then do it. Just do what you got to do to get it. We need to get him back. What I was saying about the YouTube channel is simply
yeah, sorry about that. I just
we'll
needed to
just
get that in
one
there.
surfaced up to where they're just riding around Hendersonville. They're, I don't know the name and whatever, but they going and looking at different places and just what they're doing is not only are they trying to investigate and figure out what may have happened to this child, Sebastian Rogers, but they're also invoking thought process, right, for the people who are watching what they're doing, and
Mhm.
that's the whole thing. It's like, you know, um, we all want to know what happened to him, okay, but that'll come later. We just need to find him now, right? I could
I
care. I mean, I said I could care
care,
less what happened to him
but
as
yeah.
long as we find him. Let's find him
Mhm.
first because if he is
Then
still,
then we can get him justice,
yeah, we can get
one
him
way
justice.
or
But
another.
and if he's still alive, if he's still
Mhm.
out there, how much longer? You know, I mean, so let's get him. So he's back
I feel
with the
things
ones who
are
loves him.
cracking and coming to the surface a little bit. I do. I think what we're hearing in tips means I'm hoping there's pressure. People are getting nervous, whether things are hoaxes, whether things are real, whether things are this and that. I think people are starting, I'm hoping they're cracking, and I'm hoping something will lead to something soon. But I do worry, and I'm going to tie right into a comment, Silvers, because we talked about this. A lot of people are commenting on the empty, or is the room empty? Why wasn't America's Most Wanted allowed in the room? Why couldn't you show us the Christmas gifts you got for him? So I'm going to address it, and then I'm going to turn it over to Silvers. If I had an opportunity as a parent, and thank goodness I've never been in this position. So please don't feel like I know it all, because I'm just throwing out a speculation. But as the kind of parent I am with my child, if I had had an opportunity to draw on a case that looked like it might be going cold because things were getting quiet for a while, to draw the public in with America's Most Wanted, I would have drawn the public in by showing them the bedroom, showing them where he last was, walking through his home, maybe picking up a few of his things, and drawing that public emotionally in so they don't forget Sebastian. I'm really concerned that what he was resorted to was a paper grocery bag of things carried to some undisclosed location and unpacked. Now, what are your thoughts about the room? Seth said something the other day, is his room, what is his room gone? Is that why you didn't let him in? How do you feel if that's the case? Or do you not want to comment, which is
No,
okay
I
too?
no, I'd love to comment. So here's the thing. The America's Most Wanted. So not long before this came about, I was contacted by them to use some of my footage, and I wasn't comfortable with what I was reading on the thing. But anyway, what I'm saying is you can go back, and it's out there. We've all heard it,
Mm-hmm.
to where Chris Proudfoot, in his own words, is talking about how the YouTubers are bad and all this stuff, as he always does. We're looking for real news. If a large thing comes along and wants to spread Sebastian's awareness nationally, worldwide, that's what we're looking for. Well, then guess who came along? The most popular
Mm-hmm.
20 years, 25 years, poor Adam Walsh had to pass for this to happen. But
Yes.
this comes along, and this is everybody's. I've had people text me and go, "Hey, your boy you're looking for." I go, "Yeah, it was. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad now you know about it, right? I mean, you knew about it from me, but now you know more about it." And I go, "So here it came, and they did not take you to that home, show you his room,
Mm-hmm.
where he vanished from."
No.
Okay, see,
You
Chris and Katie,
couldn't
you
get
can't
the
you can't you,
feels.
you can't
They
have it
didn't give
both
you the
ways.
feels to read, they didn't give you the feels to emotionally connect.
Nothing. They had this chance for everybody to connect and do it, and they just completely blew it off. And so
Mhm.
that's what started me going, okay, so look, you know what? I don't think they care. My opinion, they don't care. He's gone. They know where he's at. They know he's gone. They know he's never coming back. That's how I feel. So here, show me what his room looks like.
Mhm.
Today, right now, July, so what is it, 17th? Show me what his room looks like. Okay, because that can tell all of us a lot, right?
Mhm.
If that room is a gym, a makeshift gym, an office, anything that's not his room, then that tells you very clearly, in my opinion, they are never expecting him to come back. Because
Mhm.
if you're expecting him to come back, that room doesn't change.
You don't touch anything. We've
You
seen
don't
families that 20 years down the road, there's
you,
still a crib in the room.
you don't
There's
change.
still a crib in the room.
Bethany Markowski, y'all can write the name down. Bethany Markowski.
Mhm.
She would be the third person that I've touched on besides Sebastian, because it's mainly Sebastian because my time's limited. But I was asked to look into Bethany Markowski, who
Mm.
vanished from basically Jackson, Tennessee. Okay,
Mhm.
was with her biological dad. Very fishy situation. 25 years ago. I guarantee you, her room is the same in her mom's house, and she's still looking.
Mhm.
So that's, I mean, it's just
Mhm.
you.
Lisa Irwin taken as a baby. People, looked at her mother a little bit because she had been drinking that night. You know, they haven't made any arrests. They've never found Lisa, but guess what? That crib's still in that room.
There you
That room
go.
isn't touched.
So there you go. So there's I have every I like I told you today. Show his room. Start spreading. Show his room.
Mhm.
Show his room. Right. I mean, because what is that? I mean, take a photo of his room and with the timestamp or ever how you prove that it's today and that it's the same as it was when he was taken or vanished or whatever happened to him. But you know, if I had to guess, is it his room? No, I'd say it's probably not. And I think that's what he was. I don't know how Seth knows, or if he was stating that he knew, or he was just thinking. But that was another thing he
Clarified
said.
later that everything's his opinion, but I think he was sharing his,
Yeah,
you know,
I think he feels like we feel. His opinion
right,
that
right. Who would
it's
who wouldn't who would be
right,
so weird, in my opinion, as to not have it there and have it in a different location.
right.
And CP was so excited how well that interview went. That interview provided nothing,
Well,
my opinion.
so
So
I'll
I
say this.
that
I'll say this
yeah.
about that interview. This was my take, especially on his part. I did a video where she looks up if he could hear and all that stuff. So that tells me again that he's gone, in my opinion. But his part, when they get to him, from what I saw, he wanted to talk about all the criticism that he received.
Yeah.
So
'Cause who's
anybody,
that about?
so it's real
Who's
simple,
that about?
folks. It's
That's
it's
about
real
him.
simple. It's real simple, folks. Exactly. When someone sits down to talk to you about, you know, Jay and I have been talking here on this live with everybody here. and none of us have talked about us. You know what I mean? We've talked about actions we've done to help find Sebastian, but I'm not sitting here talking about what's happening to me. That's what a narcissist does, right? To
Mhm.
himself. Look at me. So they give him a moment to talk about his stepson, and he talks about the criticism. Oh, not only the criticism that we're receiving, but law enforcement. Dude, stop. Let's
Mhm.
find this child. I mean, what are we doing here? So,
How about
yeah,
you
I
sell
just,
that fifth wheel and offer a reward?
dude, yeah, yeah, I mean, this guy, when this guy was out in the woods, there's been times he's been out in the woods. I give him that credit, right? Whatever he was doing out there.
Mm.
But I was starting to think, is this guy really so bad that now this
That
is
was
all my
one wood footage, by the way.
well,
Once in the woods. Don't give
well,
me a couple times,
right.
Silvers.
Well, the once in the woods, but my thoughts go, is this guy this diabolical or devious, in my opinion, that he's going to actually either himself or have someone find him to collect reward money? You know what I mean? Like, where he's at, and
Absolutely.
so you
That's what a lot of us thought about SF when he kept saying, I want, allegedly, in our opinion, no accusations because
right,
he was working for the Proudfoots. I'm not in any way accusing him. But it was odd because all these, almost a year down the road, he's like, we're going to go in with sonar into that neighborhood, where they were building, where the pond was. And
oh
he
yeah,
kept saying it, we're going in there. We're going in there. And my first thought was, well, if you find something, someone put him there. It just bothered me.
yeah,
And I'm not accusing. It's just that's how you think when people say stuff like that a year down the road, or you're searching the woods across the street from the house a year down the road.
right, and that's
Right.
yeah. So I think we just got to keep moving forward and
Absolutely.
figuring
We
out what
have
we need to do.
to keep doing it
Because
and just keep hoping that someone will come forward and help crack it.
yeah, I've even asked, just maybe that night where KP, just happens to be listening to something like this, or just happens to catch my video, and I say, just call me,
That's what I want to
T-
say to her because,
tell me what happened. I'll help you any way I can, but we got to get your son back. I mean, it's
funny you say
crazy.
that. Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. KP, call me. We got, you could answer some questions. We can get some things out. From my platform, I'm not going to attack you, but I'm going to be honest and ask questions.
Yeah, I see the real me
Yeah.
saying she's too busy living life. She reminds me when she's absolutely right about that. And she
She's got
reminds
family
me,
members who reach out, but I want to hear from her,
yeah, exactly. But like she said, she's too busy. There's another female that now, hey, she was found not guilty. So that's the justice system. But Casey Anthony's also enjoying her life without that little girl who would probably be, I don't know, 18 or 20 now. And so, I still feel, in my opinion, that she had something to do with her death, and she wanted a different life, so that's where I feel like this is similar to
Mm-hmm.
that a mom wants another life without the burden in her mind of the child. I see this
And
about the Oregon sightings.
Casey, I'm sorry. If Casey, if that's the case, her parents would have, you know, been happy to raise her, just like Seth
Oh,
would have been happy to
easily,
raise, just like
easily.
Seth would have been happy to raise Sebastian. But Silver,
Exactly.
what do you think about the Oregon sightings? And Silver wishes he could get to the pond. Believe me.
Yeah, it's I just try to piece together like how they would have got there and stuff. What I thought about it originally, not much. I just thought that not. I never thought somebody was pretending like they saw him. I just thought somebody was, I go back to my paparazzi, the time I dabble in that. I'm really good with faces. That's going to the Sebastian. And one of the reasons to involve, because I can pick out that face. But what
Mhm.
I've noticed is just the general public aren't really good with faces. They're really not. I mean, there's people. I was just mistaken for another YouTuber when I was on vacation back in June in Florida. Okay. The guy's channel is called Come to My Table. So the folks are like, come to my table. So I went to their table. They thought I was him. Well, later, Silvers 2 and I looked up, and we're not far off from the husband and wife on this channel. But it's so that was my first thought. Not much at all. It was just a mistaken. And then Jay got the witness on her channel here, and I listened. And I listen to how people speak, how they carry themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that whether it is them or not, this woman fully believes it is. Like, she's that strong. Like I say, if you're that strong about you think you see Sebastian, call 911. She's that strong. So when I heard that, I thought, okay, this really throws a wrench in all of what I'm thinking. Maybe it was them there. And so then I start asking the questions, why? Why were they there? And if I take it all the way through, that if I believe they were there, I think they were there, and we will never find him. So,
Because, I did do a little research, and from what I understand, and I blinging BZ, I will absolutely check my email. From what I understand, let's just not to be macabre or anything, but if it were happening to be like it was ashes thrown into the pond, cadaver dogs, that's going to be a hard detect.
yeah, no, but that's you're
and
that's
that concerns me.
Yeah, there's
that is
so
one of my theories. If he wasn't with us, but I still have hope. Silvers.
Well, no, but that was
watch the program. Don't forget when you and Silvers too.
Yes, definitely.
Program.
But that
he
was
didn't know they pick them up at 3 a.m. So,
so when we talk about that side-in, to get back to that, it's not only the side-in, but you asked what were they doing, right? And as she described what they were doing, that's where it really hits home for me, because if they're walking around, if they're just enjoying it.
Oop. He's off. Hold on. I'll put him back on.
She said straight up, she's like, the vibe coming off of them was not good, right? So, but just to be sitting there, as she said, staring into the water, very somber. I mean, that's if I walk up on two people, especially a couple, and they're sitting there in a park and they're stargazing off into the water. I'm not going to think, they've cremated somebody and put them in the water, but I'm going to think they're about to break up. They've lost a dog. They've lost a kid. There's something sad going on in their life, right? Based on their behavior and their mannerisms, not looking at anyone, just to themselves. And if you add that into what we know, and the kid's missing and all this, Sebastian Rogers missing, it just, so originally nothing on the side and mistaken. People mistake people all the time. Then, you got her on and she's talking and she's so compelled. And this is the other thing.
Yeah, I have to tell you what she does, but keep going.
Well, she's so compelled that it's them, that we know that she's gone out and searched this area. So
and
that
the police report.
Yeah, and the police report. There you go. So I mean, it's like,
not only that, she goes almost every weekend, because they're outdoorsy people. They go to festivals, they go camping, they go to where things are happening. And guess what she's doing? Looking for Sebastian.
There you go.
Every darn one of them.
There you go. And so it's great. She's doing her part, right? And that's what we were talking about, doing her part. And so you go back and you say, okay, so for the next child who goes missing, how do we get where the child goes missing 2,200 miles west, the information that this child is missing, right? Because imagine if you can go back and she's seen a news report, she's seen a flyer, she knew who they were that day.
She had the date, she had the time, she could call right from her car.
Right there and say, hey, listen, I don't know This kid allegedly walked away. He allegedly ran away. I don't know where you guys are on this investigation, but I'm aware he hasn't been found. And I am staring at his mother and his stepfather who live in the house that he disappeared from 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, 4 weeks ago. Is this has got to be of some relevance? They're 2,000 miles away from,
Mhm.
you know?
Absolutely.
So
I
that's
think it
just,
needs to be a federal. Here's my theory. I know that it's Amber Alert is federal, but each state makes their own alerts and their own criteria. And they don't want to keep they have criteria because they don't want to desensitize the public to children missing alerts. Hello. America is desensitized to children missing. They're happening constantly.
yep.
I think we need a federal alert. It's not state mandated, but federally. If they can have their own criteria, I'm still against that because of the difference between the states. But if there's a child missing in Tennessee, it should be a federal alert to every state in the United States. And by the way, I also feel that the parent who is supervising the child, I'm sorry to say it, if there's anything in a situation that leads to any question marks, like you're calling an Amber Alert, you're saying your child was taken unlawfully, whatever the case is going, if you're misled, like Casey Anthony was put right behind bars when she first misled. I believe if a parent's supervising a child, the child's lost, and there's anything like that going on, the child goes behind bars or the parent goes behind bars until the child is found.
Yeah. Oh,
Period.
yeah.
Then guess what's going to happen? Most of our cases are what? Parents?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to find out about 75% of our children will stop missing because the parents are cowards and don't want to go behind bars, but they don't care to hurt the babies who are vulnerable. And
Absolutely.
That's my soapbox.
No, that's it. But that's, you take the case with Sebastian here. We're talking about the Oregon. Even if his flyers shared, right, his face is shared, you don't know that's his mother and stepdad. So it's one of those where how do you get all that around too? Because in this case, it wouldn't be looking at him; it'd be looking at them. I'm curious with the Nancy Grace interview, right? I'm very curious about the Nancy Grace because I know they can tell through that connection where they actually were. And I'm sure they have that information. And my thoughts are they were in Horn Lake, right? In that RV when they did that interview. But what has always struck me in that interview is how bless you, how Katie,
thank you,
was looking down and Nancy calls her on it. Why are you looking down? You keep looking down.
Oh, she did say that? I didn't catch that.
Oh yeah. So it's a very telling moment and things. So first of all, allegedly, in my opinion, Katie looks like she's drugged or whether she's trying to relax herself, calm herself. She just looks out of it. So anyway, she constantly keeps looking down. Where Chris is just frozen, looking straight ahead. She's kind of looking down. So Nancy calls her out. She goes, Miss Proudfoot, what are you looking at? You keep looking down. You're not looking at me, basically, or whatever. And she goes, I'm looking at my son, a picture of my son, like that, right? Here's two things that stand out for me. The first one really gets me frustrated. And I'm not even charging Nancy with this, but Nancy could have done it too. I love Nancy. I think she's great, but she should have done this. But more so, the mother should have done this. When she answered that and said, I'm looking at the picture of my son, why didn't she reach and grab it and show us? Why didn't she reach and grab us? And by the way, this is him. And he's been missing 21 days or 30 days or whatever it had been at that time. And we need to find him. That was her moment. It was also Nancy's moment to go, show us the picture. We want to put his face up, and it would be better coming from you. And so then she's not only getting his face out there, she's calling her on what could have been her BS. What was she looking at? Because there were rumors and speculations and theories that she was looking at Sebastian, right? That he was right there in the room with them. Okay. We'll never know.
Right.
But could he have been? Could he have, if you want to go down the rabbit hole in theory of cremation, and it's about right before they went to Oregon. If they did go, was he already there? Was she staring at an urn? I mean, what was
Right.
going on in that, right? And so I'm sure they know where that was coming from, but I think there were moments there. There were also moments, as Chris has brought up on the mob crew and others, that when they ask about security cameras, do you have security cameras? Well, that's a present tense. Do you have them now? Versus saying, did you have them on the night he disappeared? And
Mm-hmm.
so they can answer truthfully and say, no, we don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still not answering, did you have them 21 days ago, 30 days ago? And so,
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm
well,
sorry.
no, I think somebody popped up about that abandoned house, and that's who I tell you.
Yeah, there was something on the abandoned house you went in, and that did you answer that one?
No, I didn't. I forget what the question was. I think they just popped it. I don't
Um,
know do you have that question?
I
Because,
had it up there, and I thought when you found that grave, that's it. Was there a dog?
oh,
When you found that grave, that was a dog grave. It gave me an eerie feeling. Also, that creepy abandoned house.
yeah. So this,
I have to admit, I haven't seen that video she's speaking of. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So
I'm
the,
sorry,
the
friend. I'm gonna go like it as soon as we're done.
no, so the day we talked about it earlier, where I'd gone over and I was looking in the pipe, and then that led me, because I spoke to the people at the RV place there, and super nice, and that led me down to where probably about a half a mile down the road there is where woods where homeless encampment was, and I found tents and places. No, I never encountered anybody, but they had been there before. Well, I'm just walking through the woods, and there's a grave of something with rocks around it. Probably, I don't know, 5 feet, 5.5 feet long, rocks around it. And it had a little heart, and I think I can't remember what it said, but it appeared to be like a dog grave. And that would be fine, right? I mean, that's what people do. But this is in the middle of just this lot. It's just in the middle of this lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't shake this with this. So with the local there, we found out who owns the land. And so what I did, I don't know if I ever posted this, but I went and I called this guy over and over and over. I left him voicemails. I text him. I called him. I called him. I called him. I would even leave him a voicemail and say, hey, listen, you own this property, and it's actually South Haven, because South Haven and Horn Lake match up. You own this property in South Haven, Mississippi. It's vacant. It's just trees and land, but there is a grave on it. It appears to be a pet grave or a dog grave. My question to you is simply, you can call me back and tell me, text me and say, yes, my family, we buried our dog there, right? He never called back. And so, full disclosure here, I'll tell you what we did. I took Silver's tube back with me. We went back. We went over there. She also thought it was a dog grave. And I couldn't stand not knowing. So I started digging. I started putting a shovel in the ground. And after about 3 or 4 digs, I started getting an eerie feeling of like, even though it's a pet, am I desecrating a grave? I shouldn't probably be doing
Mm-hmm.
this. What happens? And we both looked at each other, and we rationalized that it made more sense that it's a pet. So we stopped, and I put the dirt back, and I can't confirm it 100%. It just, from everything we saw, I never flipped the little heart headstone over when I was there the first time, and I flipped it over this time. There was nothing about Sebastian on there. It was, yeah, but it was just out there in the middle of nowhere. It was creepy, but I don't know. We resided to the fact that it had to be a pet, so we left
Can
it
I
at that.
address? Can I address this one? It says, "Did they ever contact you back about the skull?" Can I ask you a question? And I'm not sure if I'm going to ask you the question. If you want to share, you can. When you turned in the skull and you received information about the skull, right? Back, and then you received information about the phone. Did they have kind of a different connotation to the responses?
Well, No, it was, and I found it all out in the same day. So what happened was, he didn't think it was bone in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point wasn't even going to take it, but then he ends up taking it and he ends up taking the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him that I would give him details on everything because I didn't want to waste a lot of his time and he needs to get back looking for Sebastian. So Silver's 2 drove us out of the parking lot and I immediately go on my laptop and I wrote a very detailed, I mean, I'm like that, right? I write a very detailed. I had links to photos. I had photos attached, links to my video, I guess, and photos attached. This is where I found the phone. This is where I found what I think is bone. This is where I found the pants are still there. So I shot this off, and it was a Monday. So by like Thursday, I've not heard anything, and this is the first week or so of January or December. So I think it was the second week. I said, I can't wait any longer. He wasn't responding. I mean, he wasn't sending me anything. So I emailed him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he responded immediately. I had to go back and look because I felt like I struck a nerve. So I emailed again. And that's when he said that was not bone, it was plastic. And that's all he said. So then I came back like an hour later or a few. I said, "What about the phone?" And then he said, "Anything you brought, none of it was of evidentiary value or whatever." It said, "No, it has nothing to do with it." And then I sent back. Oh no! When he sent that, but he said something along the lines of, and that's all I'll say about this case. I won't say anything else. And so then I just ended it with, "Will you and your family have a Merry Christmas?" Which he did reply and say, "You as well." So I had to ask him for it. So no one contacted me. I had to ask. They told me it was plastic. Then, so how that conversation went, I'll just say it here. So, and I think I did it in my video, but for those listening, so I got to Sumner County and their door is locked. You have to be buzzed in. And so the door, people had gone in. I was videoing outside because they do have Sebastian's flyer up on 2 different, one wall and the door of the place. So I was videoing
Oh,
that.
that's good to hear. Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
they
that's
do.
right. I
Yeah.
remember. Yes, I remember seeing you. Yeah.
And that's what you'll find with me is I don't side to one. I give both, right? I mean, it's like
That's absolutely. If there's credit to give, you give it,
you
right?
give it. So I'm sitting
You
there.
want it to be given.
Yeah. So I video that and I video my car and I show people what my car looks like. If you want to come, try to accost me, then, maybe that leads me to help find him. I'm not hiding from anyone. So anyway, so what I realized after I did my video is whoever had gone in the door, they didn't close it all the way. So it was a gap. So I just opened it up and went in. And so I step in and there's like steps immediately. So I step in, I'm standing on the landing thing. And this detective comes, he goes, "Who let you in?" I go, "Oh, the door was open." He goes, "Can I help you?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm here for Sebastian Rogers. I've been searching for him. I think I have some information or evidence that could lead to him. Can you get me the detective? Are you the detective?" "No, I'm not." "Well, can you get me that guy?" So he disappears for a minute. He comes back and he's like, he's in a meeting right now. And I go, "Okay, what does that mean?" He goes, well, you can just, if you can leave your name. And I go, "No, hold on a second. Hold on." And now you realize I've been turned down by TBI and FBI. I go, "Hold on a second. I'm holding evidence here in this thing that may lead us to finding this child. Are you really telling me that he has not 5 minutes from me?" And he goes, "Oh, stop. I get where you're going. And I presented that wrong. I can actually see how you feel that way. Yes, he has time. Let me go get him." And I said, "Will you shake my hand because you're the first person to show any concern for this missing boy? My gosh, it's in your town here." Well, I guess they're in Gallatin or whatever. It's in their county. So anyway, he disappears. I kind of walk down the steps and I get in like the hallway and I'm just staring and looking at all the cops' photos. And, Craddock's office is right there. And, I'll kind of glander in there and it looks like that's his reception, his secretary, and then goes back to his. Door was closed. But anyway, he comes out. He's a big dude. He's a big guy. Carter's a big guy. And he's standing on steps. So he's already taller than me anyway.
He's a big guy?
He's a big guy. Yeah.
Oh, I
And,
didn't really see. I thought he was very small, quite frankly.
Craddock is. But Carter's big.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you said
No,
Craddock
no.
was big.
Oh,
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
yeah, and Craddock's small. He's a small
Okay.
guy. But because he walked by us, right? Remember? So he comes out, and now he's on a couple of steps up, and he's already a taller guy than I am anyway. And he just, and, you know, this is just how I feel. He had attitude. Like I interrupted him. You know, what are you doing? Who are you? So I introduce myself, tell him I'm looking for Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, you know, I was out there 2.5, 2.6 miles from his house, northeast. And I think I may have found something. It could possibly be bone. And as soon as I show it to him, this is what he says to me. Tell me what this is doing here with us in this office versus being out there where you found it.
I couldn't believe it when you told me that.
And that's the tone. So at this point, I have to make a decision. I can come back with the same tone. Hey, man, I'm trying to help find this kid. Why are you giving me attitude? Blah, 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 blah. Or I can come back, and I split second came back with, listen, this may be nothing. You are trying to find this kid. I respect your time. I respect what you're trying to do. Why would I want to take away from it if this is nothing? I haven't touched it with bare hands. No one has. It's sealed in a plastic thing. I felt like it would waste your time more to bring you out there than to bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole attitude changed. He completely, let me look at it. He's holding it. He says, I don't think this is bone. I said, well, can we at least check it? You know, I mean, look at this stuff growing underneath. There's a burn mark on it. It looks like there could have been some trauma. There's a lot of things there. Then the phone, you know, I don't think he was kind of like, I don't think any of these, but he was much more friendlier after we had our little thing there. So he ends up giving me his card and said, if you think of anything else, and that's when he said, were you out there searching last night? I go, yeah, exactly. I said, oh, and by the way, you want to know about stuff in the field? There's a pair of pants and a blanket 20 feet from where I found this out there. And the only reason I didn't bring those in, quite frankly, is they're soaking wet, and I didn't know how to transport them without losing, you know, possible evidence on them. So you might want to send, I told him this. I said, if I were you, I would send a crew out to search this area.
He's like, aye, YouTuber.
Yeah, you know, that's exactly right. And that's when he said, were you out there last night? I said, yes, I was. You know, it was too dark. I went out too late, but yeah, I was out there. And so, and that was it. So I left and I emailed him immediately, you know, and then as we said, I had to get him to answer me. He wasn't going, they're not going to send you anything. You have to ask them. And it's kind of like you said with your email, you kind of got harder and you felt like you got an answer
like when
because
it's serious, you know, and you're, you know, worrying about a child. At that point, you know, I just couldn't, I had to say, you know, listen, I need to hear from you.
Right.
And, you know, and it's terrifying because, you know, as much as awesome as At Night is, I mean, they had people on planes and people in other countries, and they're investigating, and they're communicating, and they're doing it all, and they've got the ransom ready. They can't arrest. Remember, dog can't arrest. They can't arrest, right?
Right. I see this here. Silver on the scene. Do you know if CB had a friend? So here's the thing about Alabama. I don't know if I don't know if he has a friend from Alabama. What I do know is this, and it's so the co-worker who I said, you know, has a lot to say, right? Who don't like him at all.
Mhm.
He worked with him in Alabama. They were stationed, if you will, you know, on a project in Alabama, right? I don't know what city exactly. He may have told me, but I don't remember. But he witnessed him, you know, they would go out after work, right? And go to restaurants, go to bars, you know, and he witnessed him when he would interact with women as if he was a single guy. He also witnessed him, according to him, you know, his words, witnessed him argue with guys to the point of it turned into a physical fight, you know.
Yeah, you tell me that, yeah.
And so that's where the Alabama connection is.
Just
well,
kidding.
I'll tell you this. I'll just say it. I don't. What have I got to lose here? Right? It wasn't. What is it? A big deal? According to him. According to him.
Months.
Right, according to him. Now listen how crazy this is. According to him, These are his words. Allegedly,
In my opinion.
in my opinion, that he started the fight. He did not win it. But the most concerning part for me was
Oh no. Boom, boom, get ready.
that he welcomed the punches, that he just laughed at it. Think about that.
Oh.
It reminds me. Here's what I said to the guy.
Whoa.
Do you remember The Dark Knight, the Joker and Batman, right? The Christian Bale movie. And
Yes.
they brought Batman into the holding room, right, with Joker, and he started punching him. Remember? Batman was punched, and every time he would punch him, he would just laugh at him
And smile.
and smile.
Yep.
And that's exactly how he described him getting punched.
And what was the word Seth used? Psychopath, allegedly, in his opinion. That fit.
Well, to the point, think about it. Once
Wow,
you,
that's freaky.
I'm not a fighter, so I don't know, but if you're punching someone and they're just laughing at you, well, you
Wild.
just stop, right? That ends it. Because so my question was there any punches thrown, or was it just beat me? And they no, he threw some. They didn't connect, but you know.
Because, well,
And he could have been intoxicated too. We don't know, right? We weren't there. So just allegedly stuff, but he'd probably come on and tell it if I ask him, but I haven't talked to him in a while. But anyway, but no, the Alabama thing was he worked with him on some project in Alabama. And this guy's not from Alabama. This guy's from a different state, like he would be, but they were stationed there, if you will. And yeah, just just a character, just somebody that you just you can't trust, you don't really like, just I don't know. And he said exactly how you blew my mind when you said the
What
little
we
man
see.
syndrome.
Yeah.
When you said you blew my mind, because that's exactly how he described it.
Yeah. So what we see is what he is.
Exactly. I've been told that
The
by
only difference there has been, in my opinion, is on Nancy Grace. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. But other than that,
absolutely. That you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
we
And I
have
think
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, that's good. I just,
No, yeah, but what we see is, I think if you look at the persona, the face too, sometimes it's what you see, it'll stop you dead in your tracks, in my opinion. The facial expressions. Some tips were already months old when Seth got word of them. That is so wrong. Very wrong.
Yeah, no,
Very wrong.
it's
Yeah, that's not cool. Because we don't know if that is the case, then we don't know, could this have been solved before, right? If you haven't turned over every stone, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can't. This blows. One of the first times Seth blew my mind was when he was describing being there at the home, right? And how, if I remember correctly, he arose, like nothing was going on, and so he jumped in his truck and he drove around looking for him, right? Like, just maybe, can I find him? Is he on the street somewhere? And after maybe an hour, he said he comes back. And I tell that because I don't know if this affected what the law enforcement did, but I just thought it was so odd to take him. He's 50 miles northwest of that house. To take him 50 miles northwest. The kid was in this home. What are we doing?
And then to flip his house. And then when he said, are we done? Because I want to go back. What did they say to him? Don't go back tonight.
See,
you can go back tomorrow. Paraphrase. But that's what they said. Not tonight. You stay here.
There's a scene and I love movies, and I love, Lightheart. There's a scene I think it's a great movie, Raising Arizona, way back in the day.
Love that movie.
Right? That's where you're in Arizona.
It.
And so there's a part where all the FBI guys are in the house, and what the dad knows, he's a character, he knows is his son's not in the house. And so at one point he loses his mind. He goes, what are all you doing here in the one place I know my son ain't? Right. And so I look at the reverse of that. What are you doing going 50 miles northwest anywhere when the kid disappeared from where you're standing? What are we looking at? So that's where I come back to the home. Did they really search that home? Has it really been searched? I
And then
mean,
not wanting the dad to go back to the area where his son went missing.
how about that? That's
Why
unbelievable.
what it almost now I'm gonna say it alleged. It now looking back at that hindsight and what we know right now, it almost looks like they intentionally took him 50 miles away.
Yes,
They
you're
kept him
100% correct.
busy. They kept him busy there. And when he was going to return, they allowed him not to.
So here's what I said.
What the heck
You,
was
you,
going on at the house?
you're 100% how you said that. They purposely, allegedly, in our opinion, moved him away from that home for whatever the reasons. Because when he stated that night, when I heard it for the first time, it was live. I was watching live. I look at Silvers too, and I go, no, 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 no. Here's my keys to my home. Go give it your best run through. Do what you need to. Spend 12 hours. I'm not leaving this place. This is where he disappeared from. So Seth, I think, is just built different and was trying to help, trying to find his son. He don't know. I'm sure,
He's never been in that position.
Never in his position. So he
when
went and did
was
what
a
he thought was
suspect
right.
too, right?
Yeah. He wasn't thinking, he just doing what he thought was right. And so, but go back to
Think
the name.
about it,
Silver's
though.
on the
50
scene.
minutes there, 50 minutes back, 50 minutes of searching. That's 3 hours. And then he's about to leave and say, no, you stay here tonight.
Right. And meanwhile, the caution tape is around this home. This is where it happened.
Wait, what did you say?
The caution tape is around this home. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it was that. You know what I'm saying?
No, it wasn't physically there. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't physically there.
I thought you were saying physically. I was like,
no.
seriously? I didn't hear
Silver.
that.
Look, the scene is the home.
Yeah.
The scene is the home. This is your starting point. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is like, we are dealing with a situation. I mean, these law enforcement were just waiting to see a video camera of a security camera that showed him leaving the home on his own or with a friend or carried out or whatever. And that's not happened. Okay. So how does a person, I mean, remember the time when Chris is talking about, I think it was Smiley's World. Well, could somebody come in and got him? No. They'd have been seen with the camera across the street. Hold on a second then. But he wasn't seen walking out on his own. This doesn't make any sense. You tell us he walked out, but he wasn't seen. But if someone would have come in, they would have been seen. It doesn't equate, right? A math. It doesn't equate. So that
and
home.
What did he come on later and say? Because he kept saying he had to go through that front door, right? Later, what does he say? Well, he couldn't have gone through that front door because we've realized it would have been picked up. It would have illuminated and been picked up on the neighbor's ring.
Yeah.
And he said it very distastefully.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, allegedly something was illuminated and picked up. There's just another possible thing that may have happened. But yeah, but I keep going back to, look, they're showing, everybody's seen the real estate photos of the house up for sale before they bought it. And so these have been shown on Main Street Media, YouTube videos. And so you go through that home. And I did a video recently, I threw it up there, but the bonus room above the garage. As soon as I saw that phone, there's a little bitty door. There's a door there.
Oh, in the wall. Yeah.
In the wall. It's up high on the wall. We have a door like that in one of our bedrooms at our home. And what ours is when you open it, there's a storage area, right? A little area within the house where, it just happened to be an open spot and you can store things there. And so I'm sure that's what this is. You open it up, there's a little storage. It could be 4 feet deep. It could be 10 feet deep. I'm not trying to start anything here. I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to provoke thought. Could you take a 10 deep area, create a wall that's 5 feet, making it look like it's 5 feet, and have something hidden behind the wall? So yeah, it was checked, but it appears as, they got some suitcases in there. They got some storage in there. There's no boy in there. I mean, could it be that simple, or could it purposely not have been checked? They didn't call 911. They called a friend.
Right. And if you look at the sheriff's office, it says right there, for emergencies, call 911. It doesn't say, if you're on the outskirts, dial us.
Your son is missing.
Mm-hmm.
Every
And
second counts.
you've taught him to, KP said we taught him to dial 911. Why would you do that?
Every
Why would
second
you
counts.
teach him to
Right.
dial 911 if you live in an area where that's not what you do?
Exactly.
Why
Exactly.
would
You're
you
100%. And
Why
then,
would
and then,
he text Chris and say 911 if that doesn't mean emergency to him?
and so you're outside allegedly screaming, right? You're going to drive the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and every second counts because now you're proving that every second counts because you're running around, and
Mm-hmm.
yet you waste minutes calling your husband and not 911.
Mm-hmm.
And you want me to tell
Or
you,
the biological
do,
father to
do,
say, is he with you?
can I give my opinion why I think 911 was the cause?
Yeah. So it
I
wouldn't
think
be
it's
recorded?
exactly 100%. End of story.
Yep.
And you can take it from there. They
Mm-hmm.
knew 100% it would be recorded. So whether it was a friend called, whether it was a way to get around the recording, and second to that, she couldn't make that call. She is the smarter one, in my opinion, but she might be in jail. Should have made that call to 911 based on that recording. You know what I mean? Allegedly, in my opinion, right?
With
So
what
that
she
was
might
kept.
have said, you mean?
Yeah, well, what she might have said. I mean, she can't even have an interview that
Keep
says, I
anything
ran back to the
straight,
home.
right.
I drove back to the home. He's already gone. He's already, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a lot of slip ups there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's 11 days later after you've had time to compose yourself and get some. What about the day of, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and
The
then remember this, there's a friend in town that was completely kept out of the narrative.
Oh, her friend. Was it her friend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's in town and she was completely kept out of the narrative.
It's,
Why wasn't there anything said like, why would he run away when his buddy's here? None
mm,
of that.
yeah.
Here's another one. When she was searching in around all over the home, she skips the garage, goes right to the car, doesn't look under the car, doesn't look in the garage. But the other thing she leaves out is, why did she never pick up his cell phone to see if he had been communicating with anyone?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's.
Mm-hmm. Do we know if Sebastian had any broken bones, any surgical metal, any dental work, or any piercings? I don't think he has piercings. I don't know of any of the above. Do you? I know he has the little bit of water on the brain. Do you know of any broken
I'm
bones?
No, I'm not aware of. I'm
Not
aware of
either.
that. What you said on
Dental
the.
work either. I
See,
sure
that's
hope they checked those glasses against his prescription and didn't just take anyone's word. I hope they did real investigative work on those because
yeah. That's
the
but this is a
location
great. This is
beyond uncanny.
this is a great question because it leads me to the very beginning. And when I got involved was probably like around April or May. But I hear Seth talk about how he had to put his hand between the door jamb and his head and caught him. Right, he
Mm-hmm.
was purposely doing it, or he's about to fall, and he caught him because he's got that thing on the brain. And if you go back to my first video about a theory here, that was it. He fell out of bed, in my opinion. Very no one to blame. He fell out of bed. She didn't check on him, and by the time she did, it was too late. Right? This is all alleged, all my thoughts. And at
Mm-hmm.
this point, what do you do? Right? The normal person calls 911, reports it, but the normal person doesn't have allegedly 5 CPS cases.
Right. Right. And
And so
a
then
custody case coming in a few days.
and that. So you start
And
and I even
CPS having been there a few weeks before.
and I even wonder if that was like one may have wanted to call and one may have not wanted to call and
Mm.
convince the other one we can't risk it. And so then all this comes from that. When it was as simple as it was a horrible accident, deal with it, get him, I mean, get him, get paramedics there, get somebody to check him out. How do you know he's not with us? You know what I mean? Like do the right thing. But it was, that was my first initial thought. And, because you don't know anybody in any way. You hear about this,
Right.
you
You think
just,
an accident or a fight and he ran out, they locked the door and he didn't come back. In the
oh, there
beginning.
was,
Right.
yeah, there was times I thought that. I had thought that
Mm-hmm.
as a punishment to him, maybe
Mm-hmm.
something it was all about the bare feet, right? That
Mm-hmm.
as something they did, they would lock him out of the house and
Mm-hmm.
let him just think about things, right? Until he rang the doorbell or said, okay, I understand, I did wrong, let me back in. And barefoot would be one of those because they know he didn't like to go
Mm-hmm.
out barefoot, and so he'd just stay there on the porch. But then something happened to him, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, things happen. You stick your child out to punish them, and a bad person comes by and grabs them. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so there's a lot of things that happen. But then all that would have been caught on camera, right? So, you would think, right? So, it's just so many different things. And so when you come back to what's the, you know, if you believe in it was planned, then there's a whole nefarious thing there. If you believe in it was an accident, there's a different thing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this, I will say this, because I have nothing against Chris and Katie Proudfoot. I don't know them other than the way they're acting about their
Their
stepson and
own
son.
words, their own
Yeah, their own
behaviors.
actions. I mean,
Right.
that's the only thing I know, right? And it doesn't jive. It doesn't add up. And so, in my opinion, so so what I'm saying is, even with that, and me not feeling good about them because of the way they're acting, I will sit here and say I do not believe they did it purposely. If he was unalive, if that happened, I do not believe it was on purpose. I don't think the kid was set there and tortured, or I hate to say some of these things, but like, I don't think it was any of that. I don't think it was a plan to take him out. I think it was an accident all the way through. But it was what happened next that got us to where we are now. And this poor kid, Sebastian Rogers, missing. So yeah, that's what I think.
Mm.
And that's giving them
It's not
credit. That's giving them
okay.
more credit than I think
I
they
was,
deserve.
yeah,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
okay.
It's
That's back in the day credit, right?
well, no, yeah, it's before it, yeah. But even today, I still don't think that. I, Maybe I don't think it because I can't imagine it.
I see. That's what I always say. I can't. When everyone says to me, "Jay, is he alive?" Or did they unalive him? I keep saying I can't even grasp it.
No, I can't grasp the fact that they would sit down and purposely plan that tonight, go have his last dinner with him, and tonight you're gonna unalive him. I can't see that in anyone. And that's so.
But
But
it's so real in the world we live in. What was the poker game about, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, there
You
you
know,
go.
what
That's
was,
there's that. You
there's
know.
those things, and we don't know what they were. Maybe they were playing poker. We don't know. We just, maybe they weren't playing poker. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it was just innocent. Maybe it's someone completely different that knows them. Who knows? Maybe they owed someone. Maybe they double crossed someone. Maybe someone didn't like so and so. You just don't know. But there's no evidence. So that makes me lead to, and the lurking in the Texas Roadhouse does make me believe it's premeditated, in my opinion. I do. There's just there's not, well, or we think there was no evidence, but,
I
okay.
I'll s- I will say
Okay.
this. I will say I will agree with you on this part, that if it was planned, and
Mm-hmm.
going against what I just said, a total accident. If it was planned, whatever they planned didn't go how they expected, in my opinion. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think I think I'll add that. So that's add that accent element into it, right? Because I said one
Something
time,
went awry.
yeah, I said one time, well, here's a couple of things, right? They were going to take him somewhere, move him somewhere. Maybe they allegedly drugged him so he would, you know, be asleep and cooperate, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's what happened, and he's somewhere. Or number two, they were going to do that same drug and take him, and it got too much drug, and something happened, and he
Mm-hmm.
didn't get to go where they was. And then number three is just, it was just an accident inside, and it's none of
Mm-hmm.
that planning stuff. So you could still have a plan and it not work. That way, maybe that's why they've been able to
Absolutely.
get away as long as they have, allegedly, with no evidence or no arrest or no, whatever is happening. So
Yeah, and we just don't know what happened. And like you said, their behavior and the way they talk and act is coming from them. And if they were, let's say they were 100% innocent, they would still look like the way they look in our eyes because of the way they act.
Oh, exactly. That's what we talked
Get
about
out and
today.
fight for your child's life.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I mean,
Beg
it's like,
someone not to hurt him. Help search for him, in my opinion,
right.
And this says a search warrant to search like the socks with the info that's publicly known is iffy. The law is that it has to be more than a hunch and has to be based on info that's specific and articulable to a judge. Oh, to search the Sox's home. Thank you for that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Trying to get to some of this because I know you have to work tomorrow. I'm trying to get through here.
Yeah, get through. Yeah, because I
know
do.
you do. We're going
It's
through it
getting
right
later here too.
I'm just grabbing questions. I know. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
going to
yeah,
take a couple questions. You want to
Sure.
bow out and I can finish it?
No. I'll go with some questions.
Okay. I'm just going to grab questions. We're getting close to caught up, actually. You all, by the way, have been a lovely chat this evening. Maj, you've done a great job, but everyone's just been so lovely. In light of it seems like a lot of trolls have been out this week, but this has just been wonderful. I'm not seeing a lot of questions so far. More statements. You might get to go to bed soon.
I love it.
Here's one. Did anyone ever check out that mannequin in the field that was spotted first day of search by LE drone?
Yeah, I think they did. I remember it. I think it was checked out. I think they, hey, it's a mannequin.
They thought it was a child and went down and it was a mannequin.
And it's a mannequin. And this is something that happens. If anybody in here is from that town knows that there's something about mannequins there. I'm not going to say like, half the town out, but I just know on that main road, which is what is it called? Long Hollow Pike, on that road that goes by his neighborhood. So if you come out of his neighborhood and go left towards his school, between his neighborhood and the school, you'll find a barn on the right-hand side. And that barn has a mannequin in it. So as you're driving by, going towards his home from the school, it looks like a person's up there. And I remember the first time Silver's 2 and I saw it, our first response was, well, there was a mannequin in the field, right, that they thought was a person. So I don't know what, and it seems like someone said to me, local there, maybe that, people have mannequins. That's a thing or something. It's so I don't know.
Very strange. That's really weird. So because they saw it, they swarmed down. They thought it was him, a child, and it turned out to be a mannequin. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
This makes me so mad, a citizen of Sumner County. Oh, well, you use your voice, my friend. Use your voice. If you're a citizen, you've got a lot to speak about.
Yeah, it's
Silver's is getting tired, so I'm just getting to the end. He's got to work tomorrow. I'm just going to grab questions and Silver's as I'm going through it. If you need to bow out, say your good nights. And isn't that the person that lives behind them work for the sheriff's office, Jay? No, they work for part-time for Hendersonville police, the motorcycle police.
HPD, right? Hendersonville
Police Department. Okay. It looks like we are good almost. Everyone, we so appreciate you. You've been absolutely amazing. The chat has been smooth as everything, which allows everyone to focus on Sebastian. And Silvers, let's not wait 9 months till the next one.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate everything you do. You keep his awareness alive. You're researching it. You find out. You brought all these people together. Thank everyone for being here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's we just got to keep his name out there and keep Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, say his name. Just keep asking questions, keep trying to figure out. You never know what the next thing's gonna be and lead to him. So just keep moving forward. And I can't say thank you enough for everybody, and as well as for you, especially Jay, for having me on. So thank you.
Same. And I want to read you one statement from Sammy G before you go. It's about the mannequin. She said, allegedly, Shackle Island was a bootlegging haven, and the mannequins have something to do with it. They changed their clothes with seasons, etc.
Well, there you go.
Interesting little history there, right?
There you go. You know, and it's funny because it seems like there may be a mannequin in the woods, like right behind that barn too. I don't think I've ever seen that one, but it seemed like someone told me. But yeah, it's creepy. It's funny in a way because you just wave. You know, they have, like you said, they have clothes on them and stuff. She's right. It's not just like a bare mannequin. You know, it looks like a person because they're wearing like a hat or clothes or whatever. So yeah, it's great. So thank you for that. Yeah.
My
look
mom,
here. This says,
the real me too, says Silver. We had breakfast together with
yes.
PhD, car guy, the Ease, and we searched. Hopefully we can get together for more searches soon. Thank you for advocating for Sebastian.
Absolutely, Remy. Thank you for that. And it was a great breakfast. It was a good time and good to meet everybody and, you know, and just come together and try to, it's just good to see that you can come together and try to find, you know, this child. I mean, he's, in my opinion, somebody did something to him, right? And we need to find out what they did with him, where he's at. And, we'll get the answers, but we just got to keep pushing, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, that's what it is. We just got to keep going till we can bring him home.
that's it.
Right. And thank you so much. Thanks for staying so late. Get some rest. Much love to you and Silvers too. And let's not let it go 9 months this time.
We won't let it go 9 months. No way, no how.
We were
Okay.
both shocked how long it had been. Okay.
Exactly.
Good night.
Thank you. Good
night.
night, everyone. Thank you. All right.
Absolutely. And everyone, thank you so much for being so wonderful. We are Sebastian's Army. And thank you for being a great crowd. And I will see you tomorrow. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. And thank you, everyone. I'm so glad you enjoyed the live. Thank you so much. Talk soon, everyone. Sebastian's Army we are. Keep keeping on, my friends.